this meeting of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders is hereby called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Cooper.
Here.
Freeholder Graham.
Here.
Freeholder Johnson. Absent. Freeholder Luciano.
Here.
Freeholder Mercado.
Here.
Freeholder Pomares. Absent. Freeholder Siebel.
Here.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson. Absent. Freeholder President Gill.
Here. I'm going to ask that we please stand for the salute to the flag. I'm going to ask our District 3 Freeholder, Freeholder Cooper, to lead us in the salute.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask that we please remain standing for a moment of silence and ask that we keep the family of Councilwoman Jones from Irvington in our thoughts and prayers. We lost the councilwoman this week, and ask that we remain standing for a moment of silence for her and your own intentions. Thank you. Okay, I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. At this point in the meeting, I'm going to ask that our District 3 freeholder, Tashami Cooper, who represents the great township village now, or village or township?
It's a verbal salad.
I was going to say, let's just say South Orange, the township of South Orange Village. I should have just read what was given to me on the freeholder board to offer greetings on behalf of the board and freeholder. Also, if you would introduce any of our South Orange elected officials who are here with us tonight and invite them to make whatever remarks they would like. Freeholder Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is a pleasure to be here in the village of South Orange this evening to conduct our Freeholder Board meeting. We thank the village of South Orange for opening the doors and to SOPAC for letting us come here. It almost feels like home, like we're right downtown. At this point, I want to recognize Deborah Davis Ford, the clerk of our board, who is a village trustee. Any other trustees from the village of South Orange who may be here this evening, if they'd like to stand and be recognized or offer any comments? Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you again to the Village of South Orange for inviting us here this evening, and thank you all to the residents and other constituents that came out.
Okay. Thank you, Freeholder Cooper. Again, I also want to echo those comments. Thank SOPAC, thank the residents of South Orange and Essex County who are here with us tonight, and also thank the governing body of South Orange for helping us to continue the tradition of moving our freeholder meetings throughout the county. So thank you for that. And also just a bit of housekeeping, I believe, Madam Clerk, for the public portion meeting and for people be coming before, they'll be at the microphone in the center of the room for those of us who will be addressing the board. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay. Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay. Let's move to the public comment session on agenda items. Tonight's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda. So if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any agenda item, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. This is for agenda items only, please. Thank you. Yes.
You can adjust the mic by squeezing right underneath. Nope, just squeeze the handle right underneath. Oh, that's not that mic? Oh.
We gotta go back to the new one. Hold on, I think you. Let me just take this out.
Just take it off.
Okay? All right, I always wanted to be a singer. My name is Jay Arena. I live next door in Newark, New Jersey, here in Essex County, and I'm a member of the Jobs and Equal Rights for All campaign. And I want to speak to Item 2, the ordinance on the adoption of the 2019 county budget. Now, President Gill and the rest, you know, I and my other comrades are regular attendees at the Freeholder meetings. We've come regularly. We have not had any hearings on the budget. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we've seen some stuff in the press, but we have not seen the administration come here before the freeholders, and including the county executive, to defend their budget, and to give the public an opportunity to weigh in on this crucial issue, and in particular, the increasing revenues for this budget that are coming from the contract. We call it a blood money contract that the County of Essex has with the Trump administration. And as the press has documented, this money is increasing significantly. And we have some real problems. We oppose that, right? Our position, Jobs and Equal Rights for All, is that we should not be financing our public services through trafficking in human beings, throwing our brothers and sisters into unconstitutionally, right? These people are and that's in your contract, are not facing criminal charges, right? And yet they're being thrown in without trial. And our demand is that we break this contract, right? The concession that you gave us at the last meeting, we haven't even seen that you're going to improve the conditions, that you might give some money for legal representation. We do not think that legal representation should be dependent upon having this blood money contract. And we need to tax the rich and to fund our county, to provide legal representation. And that's the other side of this coin, where Joe D. and company are pushing this blood money contract, and yet they are allied.
30 seconds.
I know, I see it. With the same forces, Sweeney, Norcross, the head of the Speaker of the Assembly, who are blocking putting even minimal taxes on the super rich in New Jersey, which could raise much more money than the blood money contract that you're continuing to defend, right? That needs to end. And we really need, I'm going to ask, when is Joe D. going to come and defend his blood money contract?
So just one point of presidential privilege. There were budget hearings. They were notified. There were budget hearings. The departments did come before the board. So those budget hearings did happen in January and in early February. So I did need to felt the need to put that on the record. But and they were publicly advertised meetings, and there were 3 days worth of hearings where all the departments that make up our county government did come before the Freeholder board. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Whitney Strube. I'm a resident of Newark, and I also want to speak to item J2 on the agenda, the adoption of the budget. I just want to echo the things that Jay Arena said, but I also want to emphasize, and this is particularly for folks in the crowd who haven't seen the budget, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my reading is that the 2008 proposed budget, taking money from ICE, along with a much smaller amount of money for detaining inmates from South Jersey, was $35 million in the projected budget of 2018. For the 2019 projected budget, it's $42 million. That's a 20% increase in money that we're taking to keep human beings in cages. And that is quite shocking at a time when demonstrably the #1 concern of citizens who come to speak to you is, if not terminating the ICE contract, at least reducing it. It's shocking. You're increasing your collaboration in profiting off of ICE detention by 20%, when this is the #1 issue that we are complaining about. And so, again, please correct me if I've misunderstood that, but I looked at the proposed budgets from 2018 and 19. That was my reading of it, and I won't take the whole 2 minutes because I'll be back during the open public comment section, but That is just really a travesty. I want to object to it in the strongest of terms, and I also want to offer you an opportunity, if I am wrong, to correct me on that. So thank you.
Thank you. We will respond to that as a question from the administration about the percentage increase in writing.
Hi, my name is Robert Latz. I'm a Maplewood resident. I'd also like to comment on the budget, the resolution. Don't have the agenda in front of me, but sorry to say that I missed the budget hearings. Didn't know about them. Life's busy. I would like to request that the freeholders or whatever appropriate county authority present to the public a clear picture of how much money is being spent on maintaining the ICE contract, on maintaining the jail. We just, it's clear that the county is expecting to take in around $42 million, and recently you announced that you're going to appropriate $750,000 for legal services. And that's kind of just a fraction of $42 million. I'd like to know how much of the $42 million is actually being spent at the jail, providing services for the people there, versus how much of it is being used to subsidize tax breaks for the wealthy, or new plaques in the park, or everything. So I think that's a very reasonable request. I'd like to see that in writing. I'd like to see a PowerPoint presentation, put on somewhere like here for people, regular people, to understand how that money's being spent. And I would add that conditions in the jail need to be improved. If you're not going to close the jail, they need to be improved. And you could be using some of that money in your budget to improve those conditions, right? Have a greater amount of attorney meeting space for immigrant detainees, right? You've got hundreds of immigrant detainees in the dorms in the Essex County Jail, and there's only one attorney meeting room there, and then a few cubicles and a hallway where guards can stand around and hear, overhear what detainees are discussing with their attorneys, which are supposed to be privileged conversations. And that's just one of the conditions issues that we're seeing at the county jail, okay? So I think there's a strong argument to be made for spending more money on providing services for detainees at the county jail if the county's deciding to keep this contract, okay? And I think that the freeholders, have an obligation to make this really transparent. How are you spending the $42 million? Is it going to go into an expense account for Joe D so that, the boys club can go down to Puerto Rico again on Super Bowl Sunday next year? Like, seriously, that's a real concern. So that's all I have to say right now. Thanks.
My name is Jacqueline Andrews. I'm a resident of Newark. I would like to also talk about the budget. I see the budget on the website from 2008 to now, and the budget is a perpetrated fraud. It's a massive fraud. I know what you did, and I am not going anywhere. Somebody is going to have to fix it. Full disclosure, I used to work for the Township of Irvington. Yes, I was laid off. Other people, they were innocent people. It was done by the late U.S. Senator Lautenberg in a political deal. Last year, I'm a landlord, and I went to landlord-tenant court for the tenants they didn't pay. And I thought everything was going to be, fine. I didn't do anything wrong. And they put me into a fake habitability case. And so my money is still in the court. It's still there. The tenants left in July. It's really distressing. I want my money. And there's also other money in the court that the court caused. As a matter of fact, the plan actually was, the court was going to stop the eviction so the tenants could live there free. Only because I'm challenging the numbers, I have a right to do that. I am not going anywhere, like I said, and you're going to deal with me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ana Ramírez, soy miembro de Se Hace Caminos en New Jersey.
Good evening to the Freeholder Board. My name is Sarah Cullinane and this is Ana Ramirez. We're from Make the Road, New Jersey.
Estoy aquí para representar a todos los que han sido detenidos aquí en New Jersey.
I'm here to represent our members that have been detained here.
Tenemos a nadie que fue detenido. Fue detenido tan solo por fumar marihuana. Fue detenido y deportado cuando ahora la marihuana se va a legalizar.
Manny, a dreamer who is detained for smoking marijuana, something that will be legalized soon. He was deported.
También tenemos a Jorge, un padre de familia que fue detenido, estuvo detenido. Su bebé nació cuando él estuvo detenido. Eso es muy triste.
Jorge, a DACA recipient who was detained while his wife was pregnant, his son was born while he was in detention. That was very sad.
También tenemos a Humberto, un padre de 4 niños que fue detenido por no tener licencia de manejo. También eso es muy triste, el trauma que se les queda a los niños en la escuela y a uno como madre que no sabe qué decirles a los niños cuando preguntan ¿cuándo veo a papi? ¿Cuándo duermo con papi?
We're here also to represent Humberto, our member who is detained in Essex for driving without a license. He's the father of 4 children. As a mother, I know how hard it is to be able to say, when is dad coming home? When will we see dad? When will he be home to sleep with us? When will he be home to eat with us?
3 de mis hermanos también estuvieron detenidos, incluyendo a uno de mis yernos. Yo pagué $7,000 por cada uno de mis hermanos.
3 of my brothers were also detained, and I paid $7,000 for each of them to lawyers to represent them.
Fue muy triste cuando el abogado que me dijo, no podemos hacer nada, van a ser deportados. Yo ya había pagado los $7,000 por cada uno, eso es muy triste.
I was so upset when the lawyers told me, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do, they're going to be deported, even though I had paid $7,000 for each one.
Yo creo que tenemos que cerrar este acuerdo de una manera responsable con Inmigración. Pedimos más apoyo, más fondos para que tengamos más abogados de servicios legales acá en New Jersey. También pedimos mejorar las cárceles
30
acá de New
seconds.
Jersey.
We're here to ask that the contract be ended in a responsible way so that people can be reunited with their families. We're also here to ask that more funding be allocated for legal services so that all detainees can have access to a lawyer while they're being detained. And we're here to ask that the conditions be improved.
Muchas gracias por su atención.
Thank you for listening.
Just recognizing Freeholder Johnson and Vice President Richardson, and just a reminder that we're on public comment on agenda items. This will be followed by public comment on any issue at all.
My name is Serge Demafak from American Friends Service Committee. I am a Montclair resident. I think this is a much prettier place. We should have held a hearing last time around here. This time, at least, we have to face the board. So I want to discuss some issues regarding the $750,000 allocated for the legal service. I want to encourage the board to try to understand, what it means really.
That's on the budget.
Is it, what does that mean? Is it, what can you do with $750,000 in the legal context? because based on my calculation, it will barely cover 100 folks. So I think this is something that everybody needs to understand. That's a drop in the bucket. So ask yourself, are we trying to help or are we trying to dismiss this issue? In the meantime, I want to reiterate that we want to go into the jail and make sure that the changes that have been made, we've heard that there was some water leaking, things have been fixed, but there's no way to verify all of that. I'm still wondering if we can actually trust anything that people come up here and tell us. Because it's as we talk about developing, creating an oversight board at Hudson County, I am very suspicious that the oversight board will end up amounting to nothing. So let's really put together something that's very clear, and because from my research of what I've looked at when it comes to oversight, basically the correctional oversight encompasses several related functions, including regulation, audition, accreditation, reporting, investigating, and monitoring. And I've pointed out that these stuff cannot be left to the county. You have to let other folks to come in here and look at these issues. So because the same entity need not assume these functions, there is the recognition that effective oversight requires both internal systems under the jurisdiction of the prison authority, that's correct, which can serve as management tools, and external oversight by entity entirely independent of that authority.
30 seconds.
So I'm going to continue this process, we're going to continue this process, and so that we all know exactly what we really want to accomplish. Let's be serious about the changes that we want to make at the jail. Thank you.
I'm Charlotte Gallup from Irvington, and I'd like to say that the celebration of Women's Day month, I have Councilwoman Renee B.C. Burgess from my township. I'm very proud of her. But all these names that I looked at, it's such an honor to see these dynamic women that want to make a change, positive changes in our county. Again, Renee C. Burgess has done an outstanding job in my township. She supports anything that's going to be a positive change in our township, and we are one team with one dream. Thank you very much.
She's always happy. She's on Facebook with me. She puts something on every day.
Okay. If there's any member, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jesse Rosso. I'm a Hoboken resident in Hudson County, but I attend these Essex County meetings to urge you to end the contract with ICE. I'm going to speak in regards to the budget. I think the budget should not be decided today. It should absolutely be tabled until the public gets more information regarding how the money is being, how the ICE money is being allocated. We had that that emergency meeting, and I feel that it wasn't adequate to address the concerns that the public had. It was pretty much an hour-and-a-half infomercial of how great the conditions of the prison are. For me, as a member of the public, it just seemed like staff singing for their supper and justifying their own job. I mean, we heard all these deplorable conditions, and everyone assured us that day that everything was corrected, and then on Monday, an inmate died. So, right now, as far as I know, I haven't heard any information, but we're just getting the runaround, and I feel like the public is owed answers, and that this budget should not be decided today until a public hearing is an adequate public hearing, and most importantly, an opportunity for each of the freeholders to weigh in of how they feel about this ICE contract. Instead of hiding behind the prison director, hiding behind the ICE representative, I think the freeholders absolutely should speak up and defend why they have this contract in place, because all I'm hearing is bond ratings, and all I'm hearing is money. You know, these are human beings. That woman who is brave enough to stand up here and speak before this board, is talking about the human pain and suffering that is being that this budget is being built on the back of. So when you vote for this budget, think of that woman and the 800 people and the thousands of families.
30
I can
seconds.
see, the thousands of families or tens of thousands of families that are getting churned through this deportation machine. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Link Bella Hughes, 25 Vaughan Drive, New York, New Jersey. I just want to quickly second Jesse's call to table any kind of discussion or any kind of, I should say, decision about ICE money. So I just want to make that clear that that should be tabled. Second, I just wanted to comment too that I think it's interesting that, Brendan, you invoked presidential privilege to correct Jay Arena about the public hearings that took place for the budget. There's still sort of an open problem in my mind. At the Montclair meeting, I think, last summer, you also said that there'd be public hearings that would take place about the ICE contract, and that hasn't happened yet. The DHS meeting that happened as an emergency meeting, in response to DHS, you're shaking your head. I'm open to you evoking presidential privilege right now if you want to pause the time and share.
Good? No, go ahead.
So, but
It's your time. Go ahead.
the public hearing, well, it's our time. And actually, if you want to talk about who owns time, the working class does not own time. The county freeholders who preside over this county have a certain amount of control over time in a way that we, the working class people of different intersecting identities, don't. You have time to make a decision to end a contract. We don't have that same kind of time. We're trying to force you to make that decision because it's the humanly decision to make. But the bigger point here is that the public hearing that you promised, you have not followed through on. DHS and the horrific conditions that were found forced an emergency meeting. So it'd be really nice if you could evoke your presidential privilege to right now have a discussion that we could all witness where you organize the meeting right now. And you can all figure that out. Pick a space, pick a time. We can figure out which folks, or you could all figure out how you want to decide who at the Essex County Correctional Facility who are detained right now, who should be able to speak about their experience in that facility. The family members and the friends of folks who are detained right now, who should be able to speak without any fear of reprisal from the state, whether that's federal, state, or county, or local. And that if you have any ounce of courage in your body, which I know every human being does, once we get enough sort of, liberatory kind of sort of pressure from a group who knows what the right moral action would be, that you can organize that conversation right now to organize
30 seconds.
To organize the public hearing that you promised but have not followed through on yet. So I would encourage you, all of you, one, table what Jesse just requested, no decision about ICE money tonight, and revoke your presidential privilege and take some time right now, and we'll all witness it, to organize a public hearing where the truth about what's going on can be known because folks who are in that facility, their friends and family, can
Time's
speak
up.
to it. So please show us that you have some courage. You can do that right now. Thank you.
Okay, if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any issue, please come state your name and affiliation for the record, and again, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, I'm Lillian Hawkins. I'm the president of Soma Action. For any of you that don't know, we're a 1,000-member strong grassroots group here in South Orange and Maplewood. Many of us are here tonight to talk about voting machines, but when we talk about voting machines, we're really talking about our voting system. voting integrity is essential for democracy. If voters can't believe in their votes, then we undermine our democracy. Voters must believe that their votes are counted, not stolen, not miscounted, and not left uncounted. Reliable and accurate voting machines are the foundation of the overall infrastructure that should ensure a voter system with integrity. Our current machines make many mistakes and encourage user error. I actually have a personal story about user error that I've not told anyone because it's kind of embarrassing, but this last election in the midterms, we didn't have a super exciting ballot here in Maplewood, and I was only excited about some write-ins I wanted to do and the school board elections. So I had to go vote with my 2-year-old and my then 4-year-old. And I was trying to keep them away from the flashing lights at the bottom of the ballot machine and type in all my write-ins. And I was so concerned that they would mess that up or one of them would escape that I totally neglected to vote for school board, which was one of my things I was most excited to do. So we need voting machines that are more user-friendly and also that don't make mistakes themselves. Machines that make mistakes and make user error easy are bad for voter confidence and bad for democracy. Soma Action applauds the freeholders for looking to replace these machines, and we call on you to keep the issue of voter integrity front and foremost as you choose their replacements. We have a chance here in Essex County to become the gold standard in voting systems for the state of New Jersey, if not the country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Katie Singer, resident of Millburn, teacher in Newark. I'm here to continue voicing my protest against the contract that Essex County has with ICE. I was at the public meeting, or really better called the emergency meeting in Newark on the 14th, and I learned a lot. For one thing, I learned that the freeholders actually have voices. I mean, it was the first time I was able to hear my elected officials actually speak. I am thoroughly confused and frustrated by your unwillingness to respond or even say hello or thank you to those of us speaking against the ICE contract. It feels very diminishing to speak to humans and be met only with silence, but perhaps that is your intention. I keep hoping for dialogue, but alas. So at this meeting in Newark, I learned you all can talk, and I learned that there was a whole bunch of stuff you didn't know about the detention center, whose business you so strongly support. In fact, it was shocking to me that you hadn't wondered any of those questions prior to the big report. I implore you to go for an unannounced visit and then be honest with yourselves about what it is you see there. I was quite displeased with the amount of time the gentleman chosen to represent the center, whose title I had forgotten, was allotted to speak, mostly in generalities when supposedly answering you all. I was also disappointed at the minutia that was covered. It did not feel at all productive. After all, the major issue that so many have with the detention center is the fact that it exists. All extended discussion on bread and mattresses simply sidesteps the major concerns of so many county residents. And there are so many. They were there on the 14th, speaking eloquently, telling you all they were not going away. This is not going away. It won't be forgotten. As more and more problems, from poor treatment to death to illegal detention tactics, surface throughout this whole country with regard to ICE, Essex County risks being on the very, very, very wrong side of this. I mean, I just was looking at the agenda. We're spending $500,000 of the profits made on these humans on a friggin' dog park. Folks, come on. Won't you at least communicate with us, explain yourselves, give us some sense that the choice you are making to remain supportive of this contract has been thought
30
out?
seconds.
I will ask the question I have asked before. What is it that the public who protests this contract doesn't understand? On what do you base your decision to remain on the side of this fugitive slave law? Do not tell me once again that it's legal, I know. Do not tell me once again that it began under Obama, I know that. Don't tell me jobs will be lost at the center, I get that. Please tell me something I don't know.
Hi, my name is Carrie Gordon. I'm from Maplewood, New Jersey. I'm here tonight because I'm appalled that the bluest county of a blue state, we are taking in $42 million from ICE detention and mass incarceration contracts for the sole purpose of profit. This is not lesser evil. New Jersey has one of the highest rates of deaths in county jails. 8 of the jails with the highest death rates contract with medical services to one of the profit provider, CFG Health Systems, including Essex County. Since the medical contractor gets a flat rate per jail, increased services means less profit for the company. Just the other week, Jose Recoba Morales was found dead in the Essex County Correctional Facility, and we don't know how. The Newark ICE field office has the single highest rate in the country of non-criminal arrests, immigrants whose only violation is being undocumented. Rates of arrest have risen 50%, and the 2019 Essex County budget projects a 20% increase in revenue from ICE. Your public lament is that if you ended the contract, inmates would be further from their families, but there are alternatives to detention that keep people with their families. When immigrants are detained by ICE, it is supposed to be a civil detention. The reality is that it's taking place in a jail facility. Instead, the ACLU recommends community support programs, release on recognizance, or a formal monitoring program. What community support programs do is provide case management, referrals to legal and social services. Studies have found that such support helps court appearance rates while minimizing the mental and physical health disruption to families and communities which is caused by institutional detention. The primary reason that ICE often insists on detention is not because of individual will abscond, but because of the backlog in courts, so cases can take months or years to conclude. Adequate resourcing of immigration courts would solve this issue. Due to public pressure and the scathing report by the Department of Homeland Security about conditions in the jail, you, the Essex County Freeholders, have pledged $750,000 toward detaining legal representation, which is about 2% of what the county takes from ICE, and amounts to public relations more than a commitment to immigrant justice. This evening, Faith in New Jersey is having a rally outside the Federal Immigration Building in Newark for Dane Foster, who's been held at the Essex County Correctional Facility since December 2018. Dane came to this country as a child from Jamaica. He attended elementary school through college here as a green card holder. He is married to a disabled veteran and the father of 4 US-born children, ages 3 through 8. Dane was the sole support for his family as the owner of a business. Dane was arrested by ICE because of an old misdemeanor offense for which he paid fines years ago. For this minor offense, ICE has deemed him deportable. You, as Essex County Freeholders, enable this anti-immigrant agenda. More and more families will be separated like Dane Foster's because of the Essex County stuffing its pockets with the federal blood money, which expands deportation forces, surveillance dragnets, and unjust detention systems. We call on you to stop profiting from ICE detention and mass incarceration. We should not be in the business of profiting off human misery. It's time to end the contract.
Hello, Board of Chosen Freeholders. My name is Matthew Skeet, and I'm here representing Our Revolution Essex County, one of 600 nationwide Our Revolution chapters, fighting for racial, social, environmental, and economic justice. A lot of people here have already said things about the ICE contract, which is immoral and should be examined and hopefully shut down. I implore you to find a path towards shutting this down. This is a blue freeholder board. I've voted for many of you before. I'm a lifelong Democrat from this great county. But in the immortal words of our Revolution leader, Nina Turner, any old blue just won't do. I'm getting sick and tired of having to have this fight when we're all on the same side. We should be opposing these horrible, inhumane things. Even if it doesn't mean, let's shut it down right now. Find a path to ending this. We don't need blood money. We need progressive taxation. We need to make sure the 1% are paying their fair share. We need to protect these immigrants. We need to protect these Americans. I look here, I see so many people who work so hard for our county. I've voted for like at least 3 of you. No, don't worry, I like all y'all. But really, what I'd really like to hear is some change. What I'd like to hear is you guys standing up for a moral imperative that we have to help our brothers and sisters who cannot help themselves. We are Democrats. Shouldn't that mean something? This is the party that purports itself to be the one that represents social justice, economic justice, the common man, the New Deal, the Great Society. You guys all come here from all over our county with different backgrounds and power structures and how you got here. Honestly, You serve us, and we want to work with you. But this is disgusting, seeing this. I see people from the Green Party. I see people from the Democratic Socialists of America. I see people who are Democrats, independents, even some Republicans here. This is a moral thing. This isn't even a party line thing. I know there's party boss power in New Jersey, but you guys should be the bosses. The fact of the matter is, we, the people, are the bosses. And I don't want to get too sidetracked because I only got 42 seconds left. But I'm going to use each one of those seconds to say that we can do better. Stop this. You know what else you can do in these last 30 seconds? My brother, Justin Goldsman, who leads this great chapter, was just at the budget hearings in Trenton. Go for a millionaire's tax. Let's talk to our Essex County legislators. Lay some pressure on them so that we don't have to take money on the backs of immigrants and on the backs of our brothers and sisters. Thank you very much for hearing my plea. And please, I implore you to make this change happen now. Thank you.
Good evening, freeholders. My name is Chuck Carter. I am a resident of South Orange. As you know from my talking to you before, I'm a professor of religion at Seton Hall University. I'm also an ordained American Baptist minister. So I'm speaking to you on, in all of these different personas, I suppose you would call them. Every semester when I begin my classes, the first day of class, I tell my students doesn't matter what class it is, that the United States of America was founded on the near genocide of the Native Americans and on the enslavement of another group of people from Africa. That is America's original sin. And these are incontrovertible statements. They are truths of history. And now to something that's a little bit more controversial. We talk a lot about white privilege in this country. A lot of people are uncomfortable. But I would suggest to you that the term white privilege is a linguistic sidestep. It keeps us from having to say what the system really is. And that is a system that is based on white supremacy. We have a white supremacist president. It's easy for us to say that it's awful white supremacists who were in Charlottesville or who murdered so many people in the mosque in New Zealand. But every one of us, it does not matter what our gender is, it does not matter what our race or ethnic background is. Each one of us, if we are supporting the policies that oppress other people, particularly I'm thinking of people of color, if we are oppressors, then we are supporters of white supremacy. That is true of every one of you, and that is true of me and everybody else in this audience. Either we are oppressors or we are fighting for freedom. I urge you, each one of you, to be fighters for freedom, liberators, not oppressors. To that end, I have a question for each one of you. I have 29 seconds left. President Gill, Vice President Richardson, Freeholder Siebold, Pomares, Mercado, Luciano, Johnson, Graham, and Cooper. Each one of you I am asking, are you personally supportive of the contract with ICE? If so, on what moral basis, I will continue, on what moral basis, not financial basis, what is the moral basis that you have for supporting the ICE contract? If you are opposed to that contract, don't tell me it's legal. We know it's legal. I'm not asking if it is legal. I am asking you if you support it as a freeholder, as a representative who has been voted into power, who has
Sir,
a
your
sacred
time is up.
trust. I'm sorry. I end with this. If you are not supportive of the ICE contract, when
Oh,
you
no, that's
intend
okay,
to
officer.
overturn
That's
it?
okay.
It's okay, you don't have to.
That's okay. Okay.
When do you intend to overturn it? Thank you.
Yeah. May I just ask you to- Through you, Mr. President, I just ask people to pay attention to the time, only out of deference to the many people who are in line to speak.
I hope you all brought snacks, because we're going to be here for a long time. I think you can see how incensed the public is about this issue. My name is Mary Rizzo. I'm a resident of Newark, New Jersey. I've spoken before you many times before, so you know I am here to, again, condemn your contract with ICE and to ask you to end that contract. I'm also a professor at Rutgers University, Newark, and I'm teaching a class right now where we're talking about environmental justice and the history of environmental justice. So earlier in the week, my students and I went on a tour of the Ironbound, an environmental justice tour led by the Ironbound Community Corporation, one of the most amazing social justice organizations, certainly in Newark and probably anywhere. On this environmental justice tour, we sat in a van and we got driven around the Ironbound, and we saw lots of environmental injustices, including an open pit of sewage and the largest garbage incinerator on the East Coast. And then what did we drive past but the Essex County Detention Facility, within smelling distance, literally, of both of those places. I think it is not inappropriate to draw an analogy. That detention facility and the people who are incarcerated there, both the undocumented immigrants and the people who have committed so-called crimes, are being seen by this administration as garbage, as waste, as what we want to push to the side to marginalize and profit off of. Those are not our values in this county, and that's an immoral stance. And I will add, reports going back to 2011 and including the recent report from a few weeks ago shows that those people are being treated like garbage inside that facility as well. Now, people have spoken to you as in your role as politicians, as elected officials, as Democrats. I want to talk to you as human beings. I actually think that most of you do not agree with this contract. I think that most of you agree with us. And most of you weren't even freeholders when that contract was signed. So this is a system that started before you were involved, and you're kind of trapped in it. You and the county are addicted to the money from ICE. But like any addiction, it is detrimental. And what is at stake here is the soul of our county and the lives of the people that we're detaining. So I am asking—
30 seconds.
So unlike us, you have power. You can actually stop this system. And so I'm going to reiterate the demands that many of my colleagues have already stated. 1, better conditions at the Essex County Detention Facility for both groups who are detained there and an independent oversight board. 2, universal legal representation. The American Friends Service Committee estimates that would cost $15 million. And 3,
Time's up.
a plan to terminate the contract that prioritizes the welfare of current detainees and refuses new ones. These are reasonable demands that you can make happen, and I hope you will. Thank you very much.
My name is Ben Morris, and I represent students of Columbia High School. I'd like to begin with a question for Brendan Gill, who, in reaction to the Department of Homeland Security's report of the Essex County ICE Holding Center, declared that the conditions reported, if true, were completely unacceptable. It's not a question of if, because the reports are true, and over 800 people are detained without criminal records in deplorable, inadequate conditions in the ICE detention center right here, right now. The violations of human rights inside this concentration camp have literally caused deaths, and recently, several people who were detained, people who you are supposed to represent, have been put on suicide watch after entering the facility due to your neglect. The displacing of immigrant families is yet another modern form of imperialism, and the profit that Essex County makes that is used to justify the ICE contracts is no different than the hundreds of years of blood money that came at the price of the genocide and enslavement of colonized peoples around the world. Getting rid of this contract would set a moral standard of accountability for the rest of New Jersey and hopefully the rest of the country. However, every day that you allow this contract to stay, you are participating and empowering white supremacist values in this country, and you are all in some way directly responsible for the suffering of thousands in this detention center. We demand that the contract be scrapped, all of us, and until it is, every single penny of revenue from it should be poured back into supporting immigrant communities in the county and supporting attorneys for those immigrants and supporting improvements in the detention center. Because $750,000, as pointed out by some of my comrades, is nothing. In fact, it's only around 1% of the estimated $42 million taken in from ICE annually, which sounds like more of an effort from you to push the problem aside rather than deal with it. You are our elected officials, and we hired you to act. Please do. Thank you.
Hi, Samuel Shennerman, West Orange, New Jersey. I need to just urge you all to listen to everyone that is spoken. Short, small, old, young, every race and ethnicity. We are all imploring you to reflect our will and close down the facility and stop participating in what essentially is another Holocaust, in my opinion. As a Jewish person, it appalls me to stand by and see the famous words, never again. It's completely forgotten. I mean, sure, out of sight, out of mind, great. While people are being incarcerated for not being born in this country, essentially. It's just racism, it's fascism. We, as human beings, need to fight against fascism. And it is such a small thing. We're not asking you to go to Washington, to go to Donald Trump and say, we need to stop this. We are asking you to just simply not renew your contract. I feel as though that's kind of a simple ask. There are ways, if we have the will, to make up that money. There are time-tested ways, such as taxation on the 1% on rich people. I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people there. I grew up here in Short Hills. There are a lot of rich people there and in other places. And not only that, it's just, as humans, I feel as though you guys and everyone here, it breaks our hearts. And, sorry, it's really emotional for me. I believe in the courage and decency of all human beings, and seeing you guys up there, I believe that you have the power and the will and the decency to do what is right and to do what we voted you guys in to do. And one of those things is to protect those who can't protect themselves. After all, they are human beings. I don't care if you were born in this country, born in Zimbabwe, in Mexico, in Canada, in Europe, in anywhere. They are human beings and they deserve basic human services. They are suffering. Some people are dying.
30 seconds.
And it's a very simple thing. Just show compassion that I know you all feel. Solidarity forever.
Hello, my name is Mary Gallagher from Maplewood. I'm with Soma Action and New Jersey Appleseed Public Interest Law Center. I'm here to urge you to protect our votes by replacing our outdated voting machines with a system using paper ballots that are marked by the voters rather than machines and that are tabulated by optical scanners. Earlier this year, I know several of you heard from cybersecurity expert Andrew Appel of Princeton University that that kind of system is the most reliable, the most secure, and the least expensive. I can't understand why you would consider purchasing any other kind of voting system. Voting is our most fundamental right because it is the one that enables us to protect all the others. Right now, not only are our votes vulnerable to being hacked, but there is no way to even know if that happens. As you probably know, there's been a New Jersey law on the books since 2005 that requires voting machines that create a paper trail. but that law has been on hold because of the cost of replacing voting machines. I have a feeling you might be at the point now where you're ready to do that and you realize how important it is. So I'm urging you to not just go out and buy paper ballot voting machines, but to buy the kind of machine that minimizes the risk of tampering. Last year, New Jersey used $2.5 million from a federal HAVA grant for a pilot program to test paper ballot voting machines in 3 counties, including Essex County, where it was done in Montclair. I understand one of those other counties, Union, has gone ahead and bought new voting machines of the same kind used in the pilot. Those machines are Express Vote XL machines, and Professor Appel has warned us about those because although they produce a paper trail, they are still less safe than optical scanners because the machine marks the ballot and could be programmed to make changes after the voter has reviewed the printout, assuming the voter even checks, because we know a lot of people don't. I'm hoping that you're not going to follow the example of Union County. Buying the wrong machines at this point could make things worse in a way, because once you've invested in that system, it would probably be at least another 15 years before you would replace them despite their vulnerability. I hope you move soon to do it and that you do it right. Thank you. And the ICE contract.
Hi, I'm Bert Kimmelman from Maplewood. I also am here as part of Soma Action. But I just want to say first that I came before this body many years ago among a sizable number of people to appeal to the freeholders to get reliable voting machines. That was when Carmine Cassiano was the election supervisor, so that's going back. I'm mentioning that because I think at that time, nobody foresaw the situation that we're in right now, where the lies from the top just keep coming. If we don't have accountability, we don't have anything. We lose our freedom. We have to have voting machines that are accountable. And amazingly, the expert from Princeton, as he told us, that voting machine is cheaper than the others. Don't kid yourself. I'm a professor at NGIT. I'm not a computer scientist, but I've been there a long time. Don't kid yourself that any computer is going to be reliable. It doesn't work like that. So please consider both how desperate we are really and how embarrassing it would be if we, once again, don't get reliable voting machines, especially at this time. That's a crucial time. You know, so it's like, it's a win-win. You save money and you have democracy. Thank you.
I'm Stuart Deutsch. I'm a resident of South Orange and a member of Soma Action as well. And I'm here also to urge you to make sure that we buy voting machines that are hand-marked by the voters and then optically scanned. Those are the systems that are least likely to be tampered with in any way after the ballots have been marked and decided by the voters. And it's critical that voters make the decisions and then be able to have confidence that the outcome is the outcome that they chose, not only for themselves, but for the county as a whole. So please make sure that we have the most secure machines, and those are the ones where the ballots are hand-marked and not marked by a machine. If it's marked by a machine, the process is that after the voter can see the marking, it goes back through the printer, and that printing can be changed at that time, never to be seen, and then if it's audited, you can't tell that the marking is not the one created by the voter. If you have the voter marking the ballot, nothing can change that later, and that can be verified. That's absolutely essential to guarantee democracy in our country. Please use your power of purse to make sure that the voting machines are selected that guarantee the integrity of our voting, and they also happen to be several $1 million cheaper for the county than the other machines. That's not a bad deal to guarantee integrity and save money. It'll make it easier to give up the ICE contract as well.
Good evening. My name is Mark Larinsky. I'm from Montclair. I'm here to represent Blue Wave, New Jersey. We are in agreement with our friends from Soma Action about the importance of securing the vote and getting a very reliable voting system to replace the existing system, which is past its useful life and which does not have an auditable paper trail. Okay. As has been said, Professor Andrew Appel from Princeton, who many of you have met, some of you have met, who is on the National Academy of Sciences panel on secure voting, has made some pretty decent recommendations. This is about confidence in the vote. When you have people running around the country saying fraud, 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 and fake news, and we can't rely on anything, the confidence of the people in our vote is actually something beyond the vote itself. Anything we can do to make sure that that happens, we must do. If we have, I know that the ES&S system has been heavily marketed around the country, and that's part of our concern because there are disturbing reports of the kind of aggressive marketing that we think cuts against transparency. We think that the voter marked system intuitively promotes confidence. You can see what you're putting down on that paper. That paper will be preserved in its native form or in an electronic scan. There's no question. The ES&S system, whatever it's positive, it has been tested in practice by Georgia Institute of Technology, and they found that people did not check the paper trail on that. They either ignored it altogether or spent an average of 3.9 seconds looking at it. That's not something that instills confidence. So I think that for all the reasons, exercise your fiduciary duty, your responsibility to secure a genuine, clear paper trail. Don't take the expensive one with all the glitches that's being marketed. Look at the best system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Holly Gauthier, co-chair of Soma Action, a resident of South Orange. I'm here to talk about money. And first of all, I want to talk about and say thank you. Last time, you assured me that the RFP for a new voting system would be available, and I'm looking forward to seeing to that. Related to that, I have two questions. One is I wanted to know and still want to know if the RFP will be made available prior to its being issued for public review and definitely for public input, because the RFP will determine the type of machines, the type of voting system that will come to Essex County and to the voters. Secondly, I'm concerned about the voting system itself. As has been mentioned, there are two types of voting systems. One is a ballot marking machine, another is a hand-marked paper ballot. In Essex County, according to our research, or in counting, there are 550 election districts and 350 polling places. That's a lot of slots to fill with voting systems, voting machines, all of which are expensive. Our research also indicates that the voting ballot marking machine is much more expensive, and if we were to fulfill all the requirements for that, it would be in the range of between $5 and $6 million. This is not just Essex County money, this is our money, and I know you as freeholders want to use your money, your residents, and our money responsibly. Our expert also indicated that as we look at this, that the hand-marked paper ballot with optical scanner is significantly cheaper, as has been mentioned, in the range of between $1.2 and $1.5 million. That is a big savings, and I really urge you to look at that. To that regard, I would suggest and ask that the freeholders require that there be a valid, thorough, and well-designed cost study of the type of voting system that would best meet the needs of the voters of Essex County. One that would be, as has been said, secure, reliable, and in this instance, cost efficient. These are complex systems. They are not easy to understand. I can't imagine anybody, well, I'm not going to go there, but anyway, they're very difficult to understand. It takes an expert. Related to that, I'm curious to know also how much money is in the budget that might be allocated for replacing any voting systems in Essex County for the coming budget year. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm David Harris. I'm co-chair of the Soma Action Voters' Rights Committee, and once again, I'm here to talk to you about the voting machines. I want to concentrate on the complexity of the machines. As I told you last time, Holly and I were able to go to the trade show held by the vendors in Trenton on March 7th, and through your good offices, we've actually been able to meet with Chris Durkin, the clerk, as well as the deputy clerk, Garnet Hill. The other two election officials were supposed to be at that meeting, but they were out of the building at the time, and so we are still pursuing that meeting. What I learned when we met with the clerk is that Essex County has not retained an independent expert to help advise them on how to select these machines. These are complex voting systems. The hardware is pretty much you can get anywhere. What you're buying is the software, and the software is proprietary. That means any upgrades, updates, problems, you have to call the vendor to check. And you will have a maintenance contract, as you would with any machine. But in order to understand what this software does and compare the systems, you need someone who understands computer systems. You can't do this any more than I would understand the Boeing 737 MAX and understand why it crashes. I wouldn't go, I've bought probably 30 cars in my life. I wouldn't dare try to buy a car for one of my grandchildren and when they're going to be driving, I don't know what and what that car is going to do. Most of my cars had carburetors. This is something you need an expert for, and you don't have one. Now, New York uses a company called Technical Enterprise Corporation. I'm not suggesting you use their expert. Georgia, for a long time, used Georgia Tech. Connecticut used a university. There's expertise right outside your door, and you can go get it. You want to go to NJIT? You can go to NJIT. You want to go to Rutgers University? You can go to Rutgers University. You want to go to Princeton?
30 seconds.
You can even go to Princeton. You should not go nowhere and leave this to people who don't understand these machines and who cannot evaluate them side by side. You need expertise. And to not use expertise, buying something this complicated, I dare say is foolhardy. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to make a public announcement first. Wozniak Institute's going to have Chelsea Clinton, and she's going to be discussing about Don't Let Them Disappear. She's making a children's book about animals because she's concerned about the animals advocate. I'm saying spring is in the air, kittens are here, kittens are there. I'm going to be the opposite of her. I want them to disappear. And the only way I can make them, the cats disappear, they are suffering. People are talking about human beings. Well, there's cats that are frozen, that are run down by cars, that are starving, and they're multiplying. One cat, 4 years, 20,000 in every single city, every single town, every single township. Yet no one looks at it. They, as Dr. Martin Luther King stated, if you see something and say something, you have to, it's an injustice if you don't. Well, this is an injustice to see these forgotten cats running in the street. She talks about the ironbound. Did she talk about those starving cats that are at the so-called garbage place eating garbage? Did she see that? Did she make that statement? No, she overlooked that because they're insignificant, yet they're working community cats. I am very satisfied and very happy with each one of you because I've been coming to these meetings constantly, and you do listen, and you do understand, and you are caring individuals. And I appreciate that, and so does the cats, because without your voice, they are voiceless. And it's time that people start to look at these animals that are there suffering and do something about it. We need volunteers. We need all kinds of senior help. We need everything that we possibly can get. I'm an advocate for the community cats in New Jersey, not just Irvington, South Orange, and you could say to you, oh, it's just a cat. Why don't you sit down? No, it's not. There's kittens and everything. The rescue groups are trying their best to make a difference. Well, we need to go into the neighborhoods, and you start making the difference with the various animals and cats that we have. Pit bulls are being used to eat these cats up, or to attack these cats. Who's getting out there to say anything? Oh, they're just cats.
30 seconds.
With that in mind, I want to thank you and applaud you for listening to me and trying to make a difference, because together, positive changes could be made. And as Tony Voss, my mayor, always states, one team, one dream. I have the dream that we can make a change. And as I stated, see Chelsea Clinton, it's going to be on the Wilkins Theater, Kane College, Thursday, April the 4th, 6 p.m. Don't let the animals disappear. Thank you.
Beverly Riley, West Orange, New Jersey. Thank you, President Gill, and also members of the chosen freeholders. I strongly believe that you are very much aware of Professor from Princeton, Appel's information about how secure and how cost-effective hand-marked paper ballots are, along with optical scanners. I'm not going to bore you with one more bit of information about that. I am a strong believer in paper ballots, hand-marked paper ballots, and optical scanners. What I want to share with you is something that was shared with the Board of Lecturers in August. I'm with Blue Wave, and we met with the members of Essex County's Board of Electors. And at that time, we went on and on discussing why we believe in optical scanners with paper ballots that are hand-marked. But before we left, Edna Bow asked a question for which we had no answer. And she asked, and I'm quoting from this letter that I sent to her in August of last year, she asked us, how much time does the average voter spend completing a paper ballot? We didn't know that information. And so we went home and we did research. There was no data, no metrics for how long it takes for the average voter using paper ballots, hand-marked, and optical scanners. And so I took the initiative to contact counties in the United States, in Massachusetts and in Ohio, that were comparable in size to Essex County. And I want to reveal what I shared with Edna and the rest of the county electorate. In Cuyahoga County, which is in Ohio, which has 900,000 voters, which is comparable to Essex County, the president of their Board of Electors told me long lines are a thing of the past. And when I asked him, how long does it take for a voter to vote, he told me between 30 seconds and 5 minutes, depending upon the complexity of the ballot. So in less time that it took me to talk to you about this, we could provide our electorate with a system that is secure, cost-effective, and enhances the voter's experience by reducing the time for voting to 30 seconds to 5 minutes. We hope that you will support this system, and I thank you.
Good evening. Terry Moore from Verona. I'd like to thank the freeholders for having these nights so we can share our concerns. Election security is a serious issue in New Jersey. It's uniquely vulnerable to election interference by outside actors because of the lack of paper ballot voting machines used by much of the rest of the country. There's a hack or error in the vote count. There's no way to do a recount or even check the machine count to see if there's an error. Because of the number of swing districts, our state is a tempting target for those interested in wreaking havoc on our democracy. So there's two types of machines. You've heard this. Hearing something and doing something about it is two different things. So we are all here to try to really get to you, as it were. Two types of machine. You've heard about the voting machine. DRE is designed to allow a direct vote on the machine by the manual touch of a screen, monitor, wheel, or other device. It records the individual votes and totals directly into the computer memory, but does not use a paper ballot. The optical scan ones, computer scientists and election integrity advocates who consider hand-marked ballots to be the most reliable record of voter intent by the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. Also recommended that all states adopt paper ballots and conduct post-election audits. Just recently, from the federal level, can I get an extra 3 seconds on that? Senator Klobuchar mentioned on CNN the other night that there's legislation being drawn up so that every state in the United States should have a paper ballot. So there's a federal, and that's also based on H.R. 1, which is about election security. And finally, we know as freeholders, you play an important role in local decisions. We're concerned about companies that are aware of questionable ethical practices of winning and dining officials for their more expensive ones. We know that the DREs are more expensive. We know that generally, and we know that the optical scanners with a paper trail are not. So we urge you, and
30 seconds.
thank you. No, it's actually, oh, you gave me some extra time. So we urge you to please listen and act, even though you're hearing it time and time again, because a whole group of people out there are very concerned about this. Thank you. Boom.
I think the immigrant right folks are back. So I'm Nicole Pivnik. I'm the co-chair of Soma Action's Immigrant Rights Committee and a resident of Maplewood. I'm also a recent immigrant to this country. I've been here 15 years on visas and green cards, and last year I naturalized almost exactly a year ago. Thank you. As a Canadian with work sponsorship and legal representation, I can say immigrating to this country is not easy. And yet my experience as an immigrant is so different than the reality so many immigrants to this country face. Never in my 15 years here did I think to carry my documents with me. I didn't fear being pulled over and asked if I was a citizen. It didn't cross my mind because ICE does not target people who look like me and who talk like me. There's no reason to treat immigrants from our southern border differently than those who immigrate from the north, and yet we do. It breaks my heart to see how we treat immigrants these days, and it breaks it more to know that Essex County is padding our budget with profits by enforcing extreme policies of our current administration. Our contract with ICE is worth over $30 million a year, and we are making profit for detaining people who have come here to seek asylum, people who've crossed the southern border and are sent to New Jersey because detention facilities there are full. And we're profiting by detaining people not unlike me a year ago, legal permanent residents who are picked up for years-old convictions for which they've already served their time. Our government disproportionately targets and detains immigrants of color who are forced to remain locked up because they can no longer be offered bond. And we should not be profiting off of detentions that are fundamentally opposed to the values of our communities in South Orange and Maplewood, and a majority of Essex County constituents. And Essex County does not need this profit. The budget you filed has a $40 million surplus, and that surplus is expected to grow. I ask that you start to explore options to phase out our contract with ICE, and while exploring those options, deploy that budget surplus to ensure legal representation of immigrant detainees who cannot afford them. Thank you for your time. And in closing, I'll ask each of you, what needs to be true for us to support a path to exit of this contract?
My name is Anita Gundana. I'm also co-chair of the Immigrant Rights Committee of SOMA Action and resident of South Orange. Last week, as a split Supreme Court ruled in support of the federal government's ever dehumanizing immigration policies, Justice Breyer wrote in his dissent that this decision gives the U.S. government the power to detain persons who have committed a minor crime many years before, and it is a power to hold those persons, perhaps for many months, without any opportunity to obtain bail. It locks up individuals who are not a danger to the community. He added, "We cannot decide that question without bearing in mind basic American legal values, the government's duty not to deprive any person of liberty without due process of law." Right now, in Essex County, we are detaining people who have long since paid their debt to society. We are depriving people of their liberty for months or even years. Essex County is fully complicit in this inhumane and violent system, this gross overuse of detention in the immigration system. Additionally, according to NJ Advanced Media, of all ICE field offices, the Newark region had the highest percentage of arrests and undocumented immigrants with no prior criminal convictions in 2017. About 40% of those arrests were non-criminal last fiscal year, up from about 25% in 2016. Incarcerating individuals on immigration charges who would otherwise be free in the community, either on bond or on their own, is wrong. Why are we intentionally and even eagerly participating in this? We need to begin to phase out Essex County's ICE contract. Let's start intentionally engaging in all we can in Essex County, all we can do to combat, not be complicit with ICE, an unjust, inhumane, and rogue agency. In addition, and in recognition that thoughtfully phasing out a contract will take planning, effort, and time, we call on you to immediately ensure universal legal representation for all detainees who do not have access to public defenders. $750,000 is a drop in the bucket of what's needed. We call on you to create an independent community monitoring body of Essex County Detention Facility that can ask the tough questions that you have not been able to, and to hold the facility that is detaining our neighbors, friends, and family to the highest of
30
standards.
seconds.
We call on you to begin the process of phasing out this horrible contract with ICE that places profit over humanity. And lastly, my question to you today is about transparency. Can you, as a group of freeholders, tell us what has been your process? Exactly when have you met around this ICE contract? What have you discussed? And give us some level of transparency around what you have thought about in terms of either keeping or ending this contract. We, as voters, require that knowledge.
Hi, I'm Kelly Quirk. I'm the treasurer of Soma Action. If you're still here from Soma Action, can you just raise your hands? So we can keep coming, because I think that some of your vendors who are waiting to know if their bids got bid on are a little frustrated with how much time we're all taking, but we'll just keep doing it. I'm also a mom of 3 young kids, and I teach my kids that they're to be responsible for each other. They need to be accountable to their community. If they do something wrong, they need to acknowledge it, and then they have to try and fix it. And fixing it sometimes means, I didn't mean to do this, or maybe my brother did it, but there's stuff all over the floor and we still have to clean it up. And that's the position you're in. Because the contract, you can't run a facility where you are responsible for the dignity of human beings and still have a DHS OIG report that talks about rotting food, that talks about guns that were left in the open. I run institutions for a living. I run mental health facilities for people who are re-entering the community after incarceration. There is nothing about incarceration that is not traumatic, and we know that. There is nothing about incarceration these days that is rehabilitative. We don't design the system that way. We design it to be punitive. So there is nothing about it that is about justice at this point. Our complicity with the contract and with the arrests to individuals who already paid their debts to society harms families. But furthermore, whether someone committed a crime or not, they are guaranteed a right to dignity and respect. We owe our detainees, we owe everyone incarcerated in that facility that. I don't have a lot of power in this situation other than the 3 minutes I have here, and our other members don't have a lot of power in this situation. All we get to do is talk, and you guys don't get to, or choose not to say much. But I don't have to be silent about those thoughts, and I don't think you actually do either. You have a lot more power here. You have a lot more privilege here. And you also have a moral responsibility to the health and safety of our communities. And you erode that trust. You erode that responsibility when you don't care for the people in the most vulnerable of positions, both those incarcerated, but also their families who live in fear every day that their dad's not coming home. So I urge you, please find a way to responsibly phase out this contract. Thank you.
Jay Arena, Jobs and Equal Rights for All campaign. Again, I am here to demand that you immediately break this blood money contract with ICE. It needs to end now. And I hope this turnout has dispelled any notions that you might have had that this pathetic bone that you have thrown to us, a pittance for legal representation, was going to shut us up. That is clearly not the case. We are going to continue to come back. This is a growing movement, and we are not going to end until this ends here in Essex County and around the country, and we win equal rights for all who live here. Now, we have many reasons why it needs to be closed. People have talked about the deplorable conditions, the OIG report for the DHS. Once again, right, this is one of many reports that have documented the deplorable conditions, and you can't hide behind claiming with Joe D's lies that it's fine there. But the other part that's also been emphasized by this meeting is the deplorable and conditions that are created outside the jail walls by this ICE detention center. We saw with Ana Ramirez, the way her family was pilfered, a hardworking family, $7,000. And also we have to understand, and Mr. Richardson should understand this as a high-level representative for the Laborers International, the way ICE terrorizes workers. When workers speak up, immigrant workers, they drop a dime, the capitalists drop a dime to ICE to then go and pick people up. And this hurts not only the immigrant workers, but all workers. So this is particularly outrageous, the deafening silence from Freeholder Richardson, a high-level official with LIUNA, on the ICE jail. How can you and this is my question, how can you maintain your silence when this is a dagger against the whole working class, not only immigrant workers? So I have two more. So that's one I want to have a response from. The other is, was Joe D, Deportation Joe, that's his real name, that's how we know it, Deportation Joe, was he called to come and testify at the special hearing that you had a week or so ago? Right? I mean, it was outrageous. He sent his flunkies, but where is the wizard behind the curtain, so to speak? He needs to be held responsible. Everybody know he calls the shots in this county. We know he's the boss.
30 seconds.
I know that. And the other question is this. I went to attend the State of the County address, which you all attended. You all sang the praises, Hosanna. Joe D, you're great, our great leader. But I called Joe D, Deportation Joe's office, and asked if this was open to the public, and I was told yes. I arrived there, and I was met by Armando Fontoura, the sheriff, stood in the doorway like George Corley-Wallace, saying, "You're not going in." And so what is the deal? Why?
Time's up.
I'm just finished. Why was the public denied? And I was not the only one. You had to have an invite, I was told, to get there. What's going on? This is really severe repression that's going on against anyone that's out. And I was clearly targeted as a opponent of Joe, not because of his personality. He might be a good guy, I don't know. But around his blood money contract. And I was denied access. What's going on? This is a serious issue. Did you want to, it looked like you were going to respond.
Good evening. I'm Abdul Mubarak Rowe. I'm a lifelong Maplewood resident for the last nearly 40 years. I'm also serving as the Communications Director for the New Jersey chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of immigrants who are detained, albeit legal, immorally. And I simply want to speak with this from a moral, human standpoint. This detention is immoral and it's unethical. America has a long history, regrettably, of retaining citizens, human beings, based upon the nationality, color, race, and religion. It is wrong. And this ICE detention center and the money that we funded is also funded by way through the for-profit prisons complex that we have in this country. And I don't think that Essex County want to be seen as one who supports these types of initiatives. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. And everybody that has spoken here and will speak here since today understands the fact that children are suffering, families are being separated, people are dying. You already have children who are being lost, literally lost in the system, okay, around this country. You already have citizens, young people who have, detainees who have died as a result of the inhumane conditions in these detention centers. And we still want to insist on funding them for more profit. And I think each of you have a human consciousness. We're all human beings. So I want to address your moral consciousness for a moment. Despite the fact that it's quote unquote legal, because just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. Okay? So I would ask that the Essex County freeholders, you good people up here, who are responsible for the budgets running Essex County, to resist this money to fund ICE and close it down. And there has to be a better way to address the immigration issue in this country without being so punitive, so racist, and so xenophobic. Thank you for your attention.
Good evening. My name is William Graves. I live in the Tuxedo Park section of South Orange. I want to ask the Freeholder Board to make sure that when you purchase the new voting machines, that you purchase those that are voter-marked paper ballots with optical scanners. Three members of the Freeholder Board heard Professor Andrew Appel from Princeton described the machines. They're more accurate, they're more reliable, and above all, they're cheaper. That should appeal to all of us. So please do the right thing. I'm not going to repeat what the other people have said, but I just urge you to do the right thing. Thank you very much.
My name is Jesse Rosso, Hoboken, New Jersey. I'm with North New Jersey Democratic Socialists of America, and I'd like to make a counterpoint. We had a lot of people come and speak and talk about how each of the freeholders are moral, upstanding people, and from my experience, I have not seen that. I think it's profits over people in Essex County, and we see that. Actions speak louder than words. And actually, we don't even hear words because we haven't heard any statements by the freeholders saying, other than Brendan Gill mentioned, I guess, during his opening statement during that emergency meeting of we want to keep families together. And, when we hear about the deplorable conditions at Essex County, and we hear about the suffering that the families are going through, that argument hasn't really carried water, and it just goes to show that the freeholders are not actually listening to us. That the lights are on, but no one's home. That the freeholders absolutely do not care about the people within that facility. We had people mention how that there was like 80 cents per person, and there was a discrepancy where someone from the facility said, actually, it's $1.60, and then the person made the counterclaim of like, well, $1.60, does that include labor? And everything went silent. So I mean, essentially, this is pretty much pay as low as possible, so the conditions are going to progressively get worse and worse, and eventually more and more people are going to die. And this is what we've seen from this board of freeholders, that it's that it's profits over people. So that's why I call on the freeholders to make a stand. Tell us what you feel about this contract, and that way, when it comes time to vote, we know who to vote for. And I mean, I can't vote in Essex County, lucky for you, but I mean, there's plenty of people here that attend these meetings that can vote and
30 seconds.
And are appealing to your conscience and the morality. And in Washington, D.C., one of the chapters, Metro D.C., saw Secretary Nielsen in the restaurant and shamed her out of the restaurant. Is that what it's going to take to have you guys end this contract? For us to, yell at you in public spaces? We've seen that
Time up.
About speaking to you is hitting an impasse. So do we have to escalate our tactics? We're moving within the system, but apparently it's not really working. So.
Good evening. My name is Adam Noor Nejder Duhul Kurnain Varokwa. I'm a student at Seton Hall University. I'm a SGA Center for the College of Arts and Sciences, and I'm the president of Seton Hall's Youth Democratic Socialists of America. It is wrong to profit over human lives. It's wrong to jail our fellow brothers and sisters. It is wrong to allow ICE to operate their facility here in Essex County. The consensus is clear, even from my own constituents back on campus. Last semester, the Career Center for the Career Fair was going to have Customs and Border Patrol tabling at the event. This outraged my fellow peers and myself, as CB&P works hand in hand with ICE and operates detention facilities themselves. I and others complained, and they were disinvited from campus, thankfully. I want better. We all want better. We want this facility to be shut down. We are calling for an end of this contract with ICE. The human rights abuses are well documented. Who are we then if we stand and let these go on? I expect better. Your voters expect better. The people of Essex County expect better. We are imploring you, out of the decency of yourselves and the standards of your office, to not renew the contract. It's time for this past and present injustice to end. Last and final note, my fellow peers and myself are voters. We will also be future candidates. Solidarity forever.
Thank you. My name is Larry Hirsch from South Orange. I don't think there's anybody in this room, and that includes the freeholders, who don't think that the Trump immigration detention policy is immoral and inhumane. And since I happen to know some of the freeholders personally, I can fully believe they agree with that. I have applauded in the past elected officials, mayors who have stood up to ICE, risked federal money by not having police departments cooperate with ICE. I think that is to be applauded. I also echo calls for improving conditions at the facility and for increasing legal representation. I think an independent advisory board to look into the conditions is appropriate. I was bothered by the contract months ago, and I happened to be in a forum with Donna Lieberman, who is the head of the NYCLU, and I asked her about the contract. Her reply to me was, well, we really have to look at it seriously, but a lot of people who are being detained live in New Jersey, have families in New Jersey, and basically this facility is close to their families. What would happen to them? Would they be forced to go to other parts of the country? Would it put more hardship on their families? I think the contract should be examined. The conditions at the facility should be examined, but we also have to examine what will happen to the detainees if the contract is canceled. And where will they go? Can they find alternatives to incarceration for people who don't have criminal records? That would be fantastic. But will they be sent to Arizona or other facilities where they are far from their families? That also has to be examined. So before we say immediately we must cancel the contract, we have to look at these moral and humane issues. Thank you very much.
My name is Ben Vitale. I live in South Orange. Been here for 13 years. My comment is about voting machines. Thank you to the freeholders for this chance to speak. I wrote a letter to Chris Durkin about this about almost 10 years ago. I didn't hear back from him, so it's nice to have a chance to give an opinion again. I'm a computer professional, a software engineer with 25 years experience. I work currently for a large internet company that I'm sure you all use every day. But my opinion here today is my own. Several of those years I worked in computer security, and my recommendation, my suggestion to you is not to buy direct recorded electronic voting machines. I'm not a member of Soma Action, by the way, but I want to echo most of the comments made earlier that pencil and paper is the way to go. Everyone in this room can understand it. It's worked for hundreds of years. You need a voter verifiable audit trail, and really much better than that is a voter marked ballot. It's very simple. Everyone can understand it. Once you want to count those ballots, I actually prefer good old people watching each other count the ballots. It works fine. I lived in another country for a few years, and I watched them do this. It's a great system. The results of the election were available about 3 or 4 hours on election night after the polls closed. It works fine. You don't really need any technology at all. Remember, this is a computer programmer with 25 years experience telling you this. But if you do want to use technology to count the ballots, optical scan is pretty good. It's very efficient. It's very cheap. But pencil paper really is the way to go. Thanks.
Link Bell Hughes. I agree with the liberating effects of socialist pressure from below to get those who govern above and over us to do the right thing. This is why I'm encouraging all of you to read the fantastic article that Whitney Shoup wrote in The Nation that was published yesterday, where they argue that North Jersey Democrats have what mental health disciplines call a substance abuse disorder. It's an unhealthy addiction to exploiting the lives of undocumented immigrant workers across cultural and sexual lines to generate revenue for Essex, Hudson, and Bergen counties. As I've said before, and I know I'm bringing the fire here because it seems like you need that fire to be lit from beneath you, your own dehumanization is what is stopping you from getting on with the socially and morally correct side of what is a horrific reality that you're allowing to continue. I also second, as we've heard tonight, the need for universal representation to be practiced, particularly for defenses that are based on an anti-racist, liberationist legal strategy. That strategy explicitly cites the systematic immiseration that was caused by the U.S. empire and its capitalist class activities in Latin America, as well as across the entire planet. Workers get oppressively and economically coerced out of their country, where their mother's labor process threw them into the world to start their lives, and then they migrate to the U.S. for a better life. And it's a horrific system that's throwing people into those migratory actions. We all need to recognize that. This gets directly to the question of causation and motivation of migration among the people in the working class, where U.S. imperialism has sought to spread its mechanisms of domination so that there could be the accumulation of capital and power against the interests of the differentially traumatized, multicultural, and international working class. This isn't just a U.S. issue, this is a whole world issue. Also, and this is another point I've raised before, I believe there needs to be a viable strategy for post-abolition life that includes the voices of detained immigrants and their friends and family. That specific liberation planning process needs to ensure that no redetention by ICE agents or any wing of the federal state is empowered to do so at the local county level in North Jersey. This can extend nationwide if abolitionists in other places think that this is a good idea. It's also one that right-thinking and right-feeling freeholders can sign on to as well, so that you can practice humanization with the living and feeling people of this world. Part of that liberation plan requires achieving a relatively detailed plan so that we can figure out how law enforcement can work to protect the newly freed people once they're out of the Essex County detention facility. So from that point, I just want to end with a quick poem. Can a terrible legal structure be transformed into a beautiful rule formation that we all democratically operate freely, equally, and with our different needs being achieved and sustained? Maybe, I mean a horrific legal structure transformed toward a marvelous rule formation where rules aren't dreaded but are known to be conscientized engenderings of what the most positive human nature we all know, I hope, we're all capable of practicing each other. This means cooperation, this means empathy, this means care, this means love, this means solidarity. I know that you have that in you. Your dehumanization is preventing you from practicing that with us and with each other when we don't witness you in these meetings. Please organize the meeting I asked for earlier that you promised, President Gill, and please start thinking and feeling with people in this world who care about other human beings.
Good evening, freeholders. My name is Whitney Strube. I'm from Newark. It's hard to follow my comrade Link, who is much more charismatic than me. I don't have terribly coherent comments prepared today, but I want to just say how proud I am to be part of a movement that you see before you, a movement that is white, Black, Latinx, Asian, Asian American, that is straight, gay, male, female, gender non-binary. You know, we really do represent America, I think, the better parts of America. And when I look at who's standing with you, it's an empty floor where the spectral presence of ICE is standing. And New Jersey ICE, the Newark field office, which detains and arrests non-criminal immigrants at the single highest rate of any field office in the nation. I don't even know that everybody on the Freeholders Board knows that, but you can fact check it, and this is true. The data shows we have the single most vicious ICE office in that regard, and that's who's standing with you. You know, I published a piece Link mentioned this week in The Nation. I don't know if people have seen it. It's called New Jersey is Addicted to ICE, and it's primarily about you and Joe D. And when I pitched it to The Nation, the editor wrote back and she said, why is that so interesting? You know, we have a national readership. Who cares about, you know, some county contracts in North Jersey? And I wrote back to her and I said, you know, look, you show me any other Democratic county in America that collaborates with ICE to this degree, with this much profit off of immigrant suffering, and maybe it's not meaningful. And so she looked into it and wrote back and said, no, actually, you're right. There is no example. The single detention center that's any larger than the ones you and Hudson County run is in York, Pennsylvania, in a Republican district. This is, and we are one of the bluest districts. We are either the 14th or 15th bluest district in America. Donald Trump got 20% of the vote. It doesn't get deeper blue than this outside of the Bronx, DC, and San Francisco, basically. And you are the single most collaborative Democrats in America at the county level with ICE. I mean, that's got to tell you something. That's got to tell you why we show up here week after week, why we cannot ethically and morally abide by that. And so I don't have a lot of time. I'm just going to reiterate once again the demands that we all are making. Now, you've heard
30 seconds.
We don't all have the exact same demands as far as the exit strategy. Some of us want an immediate end to the contract, some want to phase out, and some want the contract to persist because of concerns about the detainees. Those are all ethically legitimate positions, I believe. But what we are unanimously agreed on is that it is immoral to profit off immigrant suffering. That's what you're doing in one of the deepest blue counties in the United States, and that has to end. The profit motive, at the very least, should be uncontroversially ended, and that money should go to the detainees and to the immigrant community that is being attacked by ICE. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Black. I live in South Orange, member of SOMA Action. I heard it said by a few people that you're not listening, but I'm looking up here and I'm seeing a group of people that are listening. So thank you for that. We've heard all the arguments about the voting machines, and I'm not going to go over them again, but I would just like to say that I've been voting in Essex County for many, many, many years, and I've gone through several different voting systems, different types of machines, and I'm not, the ones that we're using now, I'm not really confident about. You make these things light up and you hit something and you hear a little whistle and it's all gone. The Mueller report was released the other day, and whether or not it exonerated the commander-in-chief, it was pretty clear that the Russians were attempting to interfere with our election. And that cannot be done with a paper marked ballot. And so that's, why I support that. You've heard from a lot of residents in favor of that. You're going to be hearing from vendors and lobbyists too. And so I would just urge you to make sure that the RFQ is worded in a way that does not exclude the type of voting system that we're advocating. Now turning to the ICE contract, I spend a lot of time with immigrants, as I'm sure everybody here does, because they're an integral part of our community. And I don't like the idea that our county and myself, as part of the county, are supporting ICE and their treatment of immigrants. So, but I also understand that, we have this building that has to be maintained, and we have to have income to support it, and it's not politically desirable to abandon like a source of income. So what I would ask the freeholders to do is to put a referendum before the voters and ask them if they're willing to make the financial sacrifice and close that part of the jail and abandon the ICE contract, or whether we want to continue, because it's really up to
30 seconds.
I'm done, thanks.
Serge Demafak from American Food Service Committee. I'm here today to share something about what we're hearing from community members that we service. It is, we come here every day because we're feeling that same pressure that you're feeling right now. Because people believe that we've been out there for a number of years, 100 years now, and then they want to ask us, why aren't you pushing hard enough? We are telling them we are doing everything we can. That's why, since this issue started, I've been here before you, being as angry as hell, so that people can see that we are not taking this lightly. Because we know too much to take this lightly. And I've been to most of the jails that have been called here. Yorktown is one of the huge conglomerate in terms of jails. County, state, federal, all in one single jail. And just yesterday, I was invited at Rutgers to talk about the collusion between slavery, mass incarceration, and immigration detention. These are topics that were put together by students at Rutgers. And I told them I was busy, I was tired, because I had another lecture on Sunday to celebrate the former president of Essex County Community College, Dr. Zachary Yamba, an immigrant from Ghana. Again, the topic was still, immigration. What is Essex County doing? I mean, these are people are pressuring out there, and they may not be coming here. But I'm telling you, I have not slept since this issue came up. And we're not here because we just want to give you a hard time, and we're here because it is definitely very serious. And these students are definitely very upset. So if you multiply the number of people you've seen here now by, let's say, 300, and just imagine that if they were all to come here, just imagine the kind of crowd, you would not hold any meeting. And I don't think you want to get there. It is definitely something that you have to look at. Please take your time, bring people together, people who know something about this issue, and ask people, what are the facts? What are the data? Because you have not asked those questions. I'm yet to receive any requests at American Friends saying, show us some data. But we can show data that indicate that the money that you've earned has gone out progressively. I mean, even journalists, everybody can put together. There's a whole center, in Syracuse University that only track the immigration data. And everything about Hudson County, about Essex County is red. We are #1, basically. And if you have a population of 2,000, immigrant detainees, 2,000 people at county jail, there must be at least 1,500, which is basically 3/4 of the jail, which are immigrant detainees. So please, look at this and try to come up with solutions. We will not sit down with any half-baked solution. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there's no one wishing to speak at this time. And we're going to take a 5-minute recess before we go into the rest of our regular business. I would like to put a few things on the record in response to some of the comments that we have heard tonight. As is the board's policy, all of the questions that were put on will be responded to in writing. But there's a couple of general comments that I'm going to put on the record as one freeholder. And I want to preface that I am the president, but these comments are one person's opinion who serves on a 9-member legislative body. First and foremost, on the issue of the purchasing of the new voting machines, I can tell you right now that based on my own research and the groups that we have met with, I wholeheartedly support the purchase of scans that will be optical scanners and handwritten ballots. So I will be doing everything in my power to advocate that when the county does make this decision, that's the direction that we go in. I also think it's an excellent idea that we bring in some additional independent oversight when we go through that process. On the issue of the ICE contract, it was not an emergency hearing. We had a subcommittee meeting, an ICE subcommittee of our penal committee. The meeting was structured to take testimony on the record. I want to that's not the right, excuse me. I want to acknowledge the effort of the subcommittee of Freeholder Mercado in running that hearing. I thought it was an excellent hearing. I thought we heard from lots of different people, including our constituents, including the administration, and we took lots of good testimony for the record that will help inform decisions that we are making and that we have to make as we move through this process. In addition to that subcommittee, that ICE subcommittee hearing, the full penal committee, which is led by Freeholder Johnson, will be having a meeting on April 17th, Madam Clerk?
April 17th.
April 17th
Which-
at 5 p.m. It will be duly noticed to the public. It will be in the Hall of Records at room 506, where there will be additional reporting out of what was discussed both in the ICE committee. The ICE committee is a subcommittee of the penal committee, and where there'll be an opportunity again to hear from the public and also to hear from the administration. I know Freeholder Mercado has taken some degree of criticism for the amount of time that we gave to the administration in the subcommittee meeting. I want to be very clear. That was a joint decision, which I thought was the right one, to have the administration appear with all of the vendors there and give them an opportunity to speak to the subcommittee, and it was the subcommittee's decision to allow that to happen. I understand how the public felt about that, but that was important, I felt, for the process to allow the subcommittee to take that testimony on the record, and also to allow this subcommittee to ask potential questions about aspects of the contract that may or may not have been discussed in prior hearings. As it pertains, and I will leave some of my comments when we go through the budget about parts of the budget that are directly related to the ICE contract. But right now, where I am as an individual freeholder, I am not a, I think anyone who knows my record would not associate me as a pro-ICE and Trump supporter, or any folks on this board. But regardless of my political opinions, I have met also with many organizations and many groups, including many that are in this audience, and have come to the conclusion that although this contract has some serious flaws, we have to responsibly wind it down. And in doing that, we have to work with many of the advocates that are in this room to do that. That includes the ACLU, that includes Make the Road, that includes the Vera Institute, who have all been on the record and who have all said that the best thing we can do right now, is to make sure that, one, the detainees are treated with dignity, which we clearly have some work to do on that front, and secondly, that they're given representation, that they're given some type of legal aid representation. I understand that might be a difference of opinion that some people have who have been here tonight. I think the long-term goal for me is to end in the same place, but where I am focusing my efforts right now are working with like-minded advocates who I believe, in general, do not believe in this type of detention, do not believe in ICE, do not believe in what this contract potentially stands for, but are also dealing with the reality that if we were to end this contract tomorrow, that these people who are currently detained would be sent further from their families and also potentially be put in a worse situation. And I also think, excuse me, this is not a back and forth right now, excuse me. I also believe that we have a moral responsibility to evaluate that when we're evaluating this contract. So that's my statement for the record. Everyone who came tonight, thank you. I will be responding to each and every one of you in writing with more in-depth answers. We will have this hearing on the 17th to discuss it further. And I don't know if any of the other freeholders, since we had so many people show up, wanted to say anything else on the record at this point in time. Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for listing purposes only?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions on second reading and public hearing tonight?
Mr. President, we have two. We have ordinance R 2019-00145 and resolution ordinance R 2019-00146.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please read resolution number R 2019-00145.
Resolution number R 2019-00145, resolution to exceed the county tax levy and to establish a cap bank for the calendar year 2019, NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. I hereby declare the public hearing on Resolution R 2019-00145 open. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this resolution, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation. For the record, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
Mr. President, thank you. In Mr. McInerney's absence, I'll do a little pinch hitting for him. This was discussed at the last meeting, just to refresh the board's recollection. This simply allows for, it doesn't put it in, but it allows for a 1% increase in the allowable tax levy in the next 2 years. So that's for 2020 or 2021. It just gives some financial flexibility in those subsequent year budgets.
Okay, freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on Resolution R 2019-00145?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Mercado. Do I have the same mover and second to approve the ordinance?
Yes. Yes, you do.
Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares. Absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Mr. Parlavecchio.
Right. Mr. President, there's always a little bit of agenda gymnastics with these things. What I would recommend before we open the public hearing on the adoption of the budget is to go down one to resolution number 1, which is a resolution authorizing that the 2019 budget be read by title only pursuant to state law, to give Madam Clerk and her vocal cords a little bit of a break. So that would be just to take resolution 1, which is authorizing that it be read by title only.
Okay, moving to now resolution number 1. We will read that into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson, I think we actually just had an explanation from Mr. Parlavecchio on it, so unless there was something you'd like to add
Nothing additional, Mr. President.
on resolution number 1, thank you. Freeholders, do we have any questions or comments on resolution number 1? Do I have a mover and a second?
Motion.
Moved by Freeholder Cooper.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Coming back then to ordinances and resolutions on second reading. Madam Clerk, number 2.
Ordinance number 2, resolution number R 2019-00146, adoption of the 2019 county budget.
Okay,
Mr. President, did I get the order right?
you did, thank you. I hereby declare the public hearing on resolution R 2019-00146 open. This is for the adoption of the 2019 county budget. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this resolution, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, hearing and seeing none. Mr. Parlavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions on the public hearing portion.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, through you, Mr. Jackson, this adoption of Resolution 2019-00146 includes an increase of $750,000 to provide legal and other services to ICE detainees.
Mr. President, we will later on come back and amend to include that.
Okay.
Because that wasn't in the original budget.
Okay, thank you. So Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on Resolution 2019-00146?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Seabold, second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmaris, absent Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're now moving, because this makes total sense, to Resolution number 63.
Madam
Madam Clerk, you
Clerk,
missed you missed Freeholder Seabold.
I missed you, Freeholder Seabold, I apologize.
You missed me too.
Yes.
I did,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
All right, Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Moving to Resolution number 63, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Acker will address the item, Mr. President.
Thank you, Robert. Mr. President, members of the board, the budget amendment is in the amount of $1,750,000, $1 million of which is going towards public works for snow removal, and $750,000 would be designated within the correctional budget for the legal defense fund for the immigrants. Takes the budget you just had the public hearing on, which totaled $767,400,000. It takes, this amendment takes it to $769,150,000.
Thank you. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholder Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. To make sure that I'm understanding this correctly, you're reducing the Register of Deeds budget from $9.5 million, you're adding $1 million to it? What?
The revenue, that's 1 million of the $1,750,000 in revenue that's being increased to pay for the $1,750,000 amendment. So yes, the revenue.
Shots with the freeholders. Thank you.
The revenue is going from what was originally budgeted at 9.5 million, it's going to 10.5.
All right. And thank you. What's the timeline for getting this legal program up and going, this $750,000? What's the timeline?
So thank you, Freeholder Cooper, and that's a great question and one that we're going to speak to. I've asked our council to report back after meeting with many of the groups that have run this program in other places to provide a suggested structure. So the short answer is as fast as possible to get it up and running. These services do currently, as you know, exist, but the idea is to enhance that as much as possible. So I don't know, Mr. Pavlik, if you wanted to put anything more on the record on your effort on that, but I'm awaiting a response from our counsel's office about what the actual structure and how soon we can get up and running on that.
One other question before you respond. What office is this money going to be managed out of?
So the office that it's going to be managed by, I think this is, We're at the beginning of this process. There are some groups, if you recall, the ACLU submitted a fairly comprehensive framework of some of their recommendations for how this works and what some of their successes have been, in particular in New York. I was on a conference call with their legal director yesterday, as well as a woman who was here today from Make the Road, who's also had some success, and we've started to map some of that out. I plan to have a meeting either later this week or early next week with an additional group who has been a consultant in the state of New York's project for this. I think that's how we will start to structure it, and then we'll bring it back to the board, and issues of how it gets implemented locally, including what department has oversight of it. I'm sure corrections will be part of it, but maybe there's more to it than that. But that hasn't been at least determined here yet. But we're moving on.
All right. And so just overall, the timeline for moving on that, is that a month? Is it 60 days?
I can't see it getting done in a month. That's me. I think this needs to be something that's not slow-rolled, but not rushed through.
So 6 months?
It'll be done before the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I think, yeah, but I think my hope is that it would not take that long. That's why we've asked our counsel's office to work with organizations that have done this in the past. You know, it's not an insignificant, and it's not by any stretch to be a cure-all for sure. But in the state state budget last year, there was $2.1 million that was allocated for similar programming, and we're working with the same organizations that have set up and spent that state money. So since right now the only 3 counties that have ICE detainees in New Jersey are Bergen, Hudson, and Essex, and Bergen and Hudson are predominantly almost all contain New York residents. Their legal services are provided through the state of New York. So it is my hope that this allocation will only enhance the money that was both allocated in last year's state budget. I believe the request this year in this year's state budget is larger than $2.1 million, and that we will make a significant dent in getting to some type of universal representation for the detainees that are in our facility. So as fast as possible, and if anyone on the board would like to assist the council and office in how we do that and get that up and running, we're open to all suggestions on how to do that. Mr. Barlett,
Not on this issue specifically, but to Mr. Acker, I just want to be clear, this additional $1,750,000 that's being added by amendment, there's no additional amount to be raised by taxation to cover this, is that correct?
No, it's no increase in the taxes that was over and above what was
Over and
already
above, right.
presented, correct?
Thanks.
Okay, so we're on resolution number 63. Additional questions or comments, freeholders? Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Siebold, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. We will now move to adopt the budget. Freeholders, do I have a mover and a second?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please move to resolution number 64.
I think I need to read statement 2.
Yeah, this statement.
Be it resolved by the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Essex that the budget herein before set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorization of the amount of $432,775,000 for the county to be erased by taxation and certification by the County Board of Taxation, and the total amount of that is $769,150,000, and that the County Board of Taxation of the following summary of general revenues and appropriations.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please move to Resolution 64.
Resolution 64, Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Management and Budget, resolution of the County of Essex, New Jersey, determining the form and other details of its note relating to the Transportation Bank Short-Term Loan Program of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank to be issued in the principal amount not to exceed $2,250,000, and providing for the issuance and sale of such note to the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank, and authorizing the execution and delivery of such note by the County of Essex, New Jersey, in favor of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank, all pursuant to the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank Transportation Bank Short-Term Loan Program.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Acker. Back in February 20th, we adopted an ordinance in the amount of $2,365,000 for this project, of which $2,250,000 would be the loan from the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. It's for the Dutch Lane Bridge replacement. This is the resolution that the Transportation Bank, the New Jersey Bank, asked us to adopt. It basically specifies the details of the notes, the maturity date, the interest rate, which, by the way, is a low interest rate. It's roughly half of what we would be able to borrow at as a AAA entity, which is what prompted us to go through with this loan program through the Infrastructure Bank.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio.
Yeah, Mark, what is the term of the short-term loan? How short is it?
That hasn't been worked out yet. I'm in contact with the individual with the Transportation Bank, but I'm not quite certain what that will be right now.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Process question for the administration. I thought I saw this somewhere. Does this require this doesn't require another public hearing?
I don't believe so, Mr. Chairman, because it's just a source of financing for something that we've already approved.
We've already approved. Okay.
I would defer to Mr.
Yeah,
Parlavecchio.
we feel good about that, Mr.
Yeah.
Parlavecchio. Okay. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Do I have a mover and a second? Moved by Freeholder Seabold. Second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomaris absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving back to resolution number 2. Resolution number 2, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Acker. This is a very, very small transfer resolution. By law, during the months of January, February, and March, we're able to transfer amongst the various departmental budgets from the prior year, in this case 2018. So this is the last meeting where we are able to effectuate that type of transfer. The total transfers for $185,000, of which $130,000 is going towards workers' compensation claims, and the balance of $55,000 is going to our Department of Health and Rehabilitation for other expenses.
Mr. Parlavecchio?
Yeah, I did speak to Mr. McInerney about this. He did review this, spoke to Mr. Acker about it, and did want me to let you know that he does recommend adopting this.
Okay. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolutions number 3 through 7, which are all in the Office of the County, 3 through 6, which I believe are in the Office of the County Council. 7 as well. This is Department of Administration, but it's also County Council. So we'll read numbers 3 through 7 into the record at a later time. Let's start with resolution number 3.
Thank you, Mr. President. Courtney Gassion, Essex County Council. Resolution number 3 is a professional services agreement between the county and the law firm of Lum, Danzis, and Positan. The firm will be representing the county in a litigation by the name of Hines versus Essex County Prosecutor's Office, as well as individual defendants that have been named in the lawsuit. The reason for sending this out to outside counsel is there is a conflict for this case to remain within the office, the county counsel's office. So we have requested a contract approval from February 1st of this year through the end of the year, December 31st, 2019, in an amount not to exceed $35,000. The firm will be representing all of the named defendants in the lawsuit.
We'll take them all together. We can move through each of them, then we'll take them all together.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution number 4 is an amendment to a professional services agreement to provide investigative services for the County Adjuster's Office. These services are provided by an outside investigator that determines the residency of our mental health patients that are in our mental health facility in Cedar Grove. They determined the source of their residency so we can collect reimbursement from the sending counties for the time that they are hospitalized with us. This is an incumbent contractor who has been doing this work with us for several years, Tri-Need Associates. We're asking to extend the contract, I'm sorry, I apologize, to increase the contract up to $84,000. It was previously $70,000, and this will take them through the end of May of this year. Resolution number 5 is also a professional services agreement to provide legal services for the real estate transaction in connection with the lease of the Triangle parking lot at the Hall of Records complex. This contract is with the firm of Chiesa, Shaninen, and John Tomasi in the amount not to exceed $25,000 for a period of March 13th, 2019 through December 31st, 2019. As the board is aware, we are beginning construction on a 900-car parking deck in the Triangle lot beginning Monday, April 1st, which is this coming Monday. And as such, we are seeking to lease the Triangle lot where that garage is going to stand from the Essex County College, who currently owns that property. This professional service contract will allow the firm to assist us in the instituting the lease. And you'll see that resolution number 7 is the actual request for the approval of the lease. And again, this contract amount will run through the end of the year, but we anticipate, once we get this approval and any amendments that are necessary, that will be the resolution for this particular contract. It's a short-term contract. Resolution number 6, also a professional services agreement, is to provide legal services, also with the firm of Chiesa, Shaheenan, and John Tomasi, in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for the period of March 13th, 2019 through December 31, 2019. And this is to assist the county with regard to the purchase of the Essex County Police Academy, which is located in Cedar Grove. The police academy was previously owned, or has been owned by Essex County College. We took over through a lease that property in January of this year. We've been operating the facility since January 1, and part of that lease agreement is that the county would ultimately execute a purchase-sale agreement with the college to purchase the property. We anticipate that this closing will happen sometime in late April or early May. The contract is, again, for the firm to assist us in the closing transaction. Resolution number 7 is the ground lease agreement that I had referenced earlier. This is for the Triangle parking lot and to allow the county to lease the property from Essex County College for the purpose of building the parking deck. The construction, as I mentioned, will begin on April 1st. The term of the lease will be for 5 years, beginning April 1st of 2019. The intention is that at the April 30th Board of Trustee meeting for the Essex County College, that we are going to request that they actually extend that lease to 98 years, which is the term we are ultimately seeking. They were unable to do that in time for tonight's meeting because they had not yet gotten their Board of Trustee approval for more than a 5-year lease term. But our anticipation is that once that 98-year lease is approved by the Board of Trustees, we will come back before the freeholders to request an amendment to this lease, extending it from 5 years to a 98-year ground lease. And there's a provision in the lease agreement that allows for that. The cost of the lease is $1 for the full length of the lease, and the county will be responsible for the operating costs of the Triangle parking lot, which we are currently responsible for as we occupy that space right now.
Okay, thank you. So Freeholders, that's resolutions number 3 through 7. Mr. Parlavecchio.
Right. Ms. Cassione, quick question on number 3. This is the initial contract on this case, correct?
Yes, this litigation was just filed, I believe it was in January, so this is the first contract. We have not retained a firm prior to this contract.
And the firm is representing all of the county defendants?
Yes.
In this?
The Essex County Prosecutor's Office is named, as well as 4 individual defendants, including former Prosecutor Murray, and the firm is representing all of the defendants.
And it's in U.S. District Court, it looks like from the thing?
It is in federal court,
From
yes.
the docket number.
That's correct.
Is $35,000, do we think that'll carry us through the end of the calendar year?
I do anticipate this case is going to be dismissed early on in the litigation.
Okay, because it seems, I mean, not that that's an insignificant amount of money, but for a federal court case with multiple defendants and 8 months to go, it just seemed a little lighter than normal. But if that's the indication that it may work itself out, then that's good news.
The claims in the complaint are pretty straightforward. It is a breach of contract claim, and we do feel that we're going to be successful in getting the case, dismissed very early on in the process.
Thank you.
Okay. Freeholder Siebel.
Thank you. We just got a copy of the lease agreement, and at the leadership meeting we had, we discussed that the lease is going to be $1. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, could you just explain how that's going to work?
So this is as we often do with other governmental entities, we enter into a lease agreement with the property owner for a de minimis amount. So in this circumstance, currently we're asking you to approve a 5-year lease. The total amount we'll pay to the college is $1. That's the value.
$1 a year or $1 for 5?
No, $1 total.
dollar total.
That's correct. And as I indicated, that there's going to be a request so that that lease term gets extended to 98 years. It's still, the price will not change. Keep in mind, the county will be responsible for the operating costs and maintenance, utilities, et cetera, that's associated with the Triangle lot, as we currently are. So that will continue. There'll be no expenses incurred by the county college.
So we're taking care of that now, and we will continue to take care of that.
That's correct.
But instead of the county owning it, we're going to lease it for $1 for as many years as we have it.
We don't currently own it. It is owned by Essex County College. We are leasing it from them.
And we're leasing it for, is there a time limit on how we're leasing it, or?
Currently, under the terms of this lease, it will be for 5 years, and our anticipation is that that will be extended to a 98-year lease once we get the approval of the Board of Trustees of the college.
It will be extended to what?
98 years,
98
a ground lease for 98 years, correct.
Okay, so we will lease it for 98 years?
Correct.
Hopefully in the end.
That is correct. I anticipate coming back to you in our first May meeting with a request to amend this lease to extend it to 98 years, correct.
All right, and the students at the college will still be able to use it?
That's correct. There's a provision through you, Mr. President, in the lease that allows the students after 4 p.m. during the week to continue to park in the lot, which they currently do. There's going to be limited access during the construction phase, but certainly after the construction is completed, they will be able to continue to utilize that as well as on weekends.
And the parking deck will be at the beginning of the Triangle lot,
It's
correct?
going to be at the widest end of the Triangle lot,
Right.
which is the westernmost side of the lot, along the Howard Street Market and West Market intersection.
And so go down to the Triangle to park, you have to go through the garage, correct?
You will ultimately either have to go directly into the garage, or there will be parking access right into the surface lot as well. The egress and ingress of the lot as it currently is going to be modified once the deck is in place.
Even though the parking deck will be there, we might not have to go through it, you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Freeholder, additional questions or comments on resolutions 3 through 7? Freeholder Cooper.
Thank you. Quick question for item 4. Is it safe for me to assume that when this expires May 23rd, you're going to go back out to bid?
We will, in fact. It's actually an RFP process, so
Okay.
we will go out for another RFP, and then I will anticipate coming before the board again with our new contract.
Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Cooper. Additional questions or comments? Do we have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder
Second.
Seabold, second by Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
We're taking resolutions 3 through 7, Madam Clerk. Roll call.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares. Absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes on 3, 4, and 7, and President not voting on 5 and 6.
So moved.
Can't hear you.
Thank you. Sure, yes on 3, 4, 5, and 7. And President not voting on 5 and 6. Moving to resolution number 8. We could read it to the record at a later time.
Sure. Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 8 is a contract with LaGuardia Associates for our summer concert series, and we do have a representative here.
Thank you. John Alati, partner of LaGuardia and Associates Entertainment. We've been fortunate to provide this service to the county for the past 20-plus years, and it will be providing entertainment and/or production services for 20 concerts throughout the county, 4 festivals throughout the county, the 9/11 ceremony at Eagle Rock, and then 20 nights of music for the holiday lights at Turtleback Zoo. So it's a wide, diverse array of genres of music, and it hits all the residents of Essex County.
Thank you. Seeing that Mr. Purley is occupied, freeholders.
I'll speak.
Short Freeholder-Seabold.
Thank you. John Allotti does a wonderful job providing the entertainment. He's been doing this for so many years, and every year is even better than ever. So thank you for doing such a great job.
Thank you for your.
Thank you. Freeholder
Chair.
Luciano.
Mr. President, I too want to put on record and echo Freeholder-Seabold. I know John Allotti. I know the programs he puts forth in our park system, as long as a lot of local municipal parks and folks travel around throughout North Jersey to hear the concert series. Good work, and I am confident to support this contract. Thank you.
Freeholders. Additional questions or comments?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder-Seabold, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Moving to resolution number 9, read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Zates.
Oh, Mr. Zates, excuse me.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 9 is a resolution to support nonprofit organizations that are partnering with the county to apply for Green Acres funds. If the board will recall at the last meeting, you approved a enabling resolution for the county to apply for grants. And this resolution is a support document that the county is partnering with several organizations to apply for Green Acres grants for the county park system, and this is a resolution supporting that. And that's the second piece. And then the third piece will be at the April 10th Freeholder meeting. There will be a public hearing to discuss the county's Green Acres application.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No other questions.
Freeholders? Questions or comments? Mover in a second.
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder-Seabold. Second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Resolution number 10, we can read it into the record at a later time.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 10 is a contract with Plantscape, Inc., who will be providing some he'll be providing some maintenance for the topiaries located over at the South Mountain Recreation Complex. There are 10 topiaries that are going to be repaired, and this is a 33-day contract that will repair those.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio?
This was the sole bidder for this project.
Freeholders?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Luciano.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Seabold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham. Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Moving to resolution number 11, can read it into the record at a later time.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 11 is a contract with the Pond and Lake Connection for algae control over in some of the waterways in the park system. These parks include Branchbrook Park, or I should say the Branchbrook Park Lake, the Branchbrook Park Lagoon, Grover Cleveland Park Pond, Irvington Park Pond, Monty Irvin Orange Park Pond, Verona Park Lake, Weequahic Lake, Orange Reservoir. The total of those parks, which would be 16 visits over the course of 2 years, is $61,760. In addition to that, there's a $50,000 allowance in case any of the additional waterways that I haven't mentioned need some maintenance. We would tap into those funds for the total contract amount of $111,760.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio?
No question.
Freeholders? Devil mover?
I'll move it.
We got moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano. Absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 12, which can read into the record at a later time.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 12 is a contract award with Ray Palmer Associates, an extension, 2-year extension to provide pump and filter plumbing services, and we do have a representative from the company here.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Andrew Platt from Ray Palmer Associates. I'm the president of the organization. We supply services to the Turtleback Zoo for all the aquatic exhibits, from the big cats to the polar, or to the sea lions to penguins, whatever has water, we service.
Okay. Mr. Barlavecchio?
I think my question is for Mr. Zates. Josh, the extension amount of this is a lot more than what was expended over the initial part of the contract. Looks like from the paperwork we were given, we've expended a little over $33,000 during the base contract of this. Is there additional work that's anticipated? I know it's a not to exceed contract, but it's several hundred times greater.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Through you, Mr. President. That is correct. The only bidding mechanism we have is when we go out to bid, we have to assume that the entire complex is going to break, for lack of a better term. That's why it's a $674,000 amount, even though we only spent $30,000. So it's as needed. We unfortunately don't know what's going to break, but it's certainly good to have the vendor on board in case something does break.
Very good. And understood, it is not to exceed, so there's no guaranteed amount. It could be zero, it could be the full amount.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barlavecchio. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Do you have a mover?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebold, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So moving to resolution number 13. Read into the record at a later time. Mr. Zates.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 13 is a contract extension with Veckridge Chemical to furnish and deliver sea salt and other high-grade salt for the zoo, and we do have a representative here.
Good evening, freeholders. Bob Becker, Vice President, Veckridge Chemical Company. How can I help you?
Mr. Barlavecchio.
I don't have any questions.
Freeholders.
No.
Questions or comments? Do I have a mover and a second?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Siebel, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution 14. Read it to the record at a later time. Mr. Zates.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 14 is a contract award with Sunbelt Rentals for the rental of portable diesel-powered generators. These are the rental of the generators that we use for various events throughout the park system, be it the upcoming Cherry Blossom events or summer concert series, holiday lights, and what have you.
Mr. Barlavecchio.
No questions.
Freeholders. Do we normally rent these?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
And it makes more sense to rent than purchase?
But by renting them, we wouldn't bear the blunt of the wear and tear that would fall upon them.
Okay. Freeholders.
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Siebold, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent Freeholder Mercado?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper?
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Got a tag team going over there.
Resolution, Resolution 15. Read to the record at a later time.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Resolution number 15 is a contract award to LTI for landscape maintenance over at the Middle and Southern Division of Branchbrook Park. For the board who's not familiar with the different divisions of the park, just so everyone's on the same page, the Southern Division is from approximately Clifton Avenue to Bloomfield Avenue. The Middle Division is from Bloomfield Avenue to Heller Parkway, and then the extension is from Heller Parkway to Washington. And these are landscape maintenance, includes the usual grass cutting, cleaning, mulching, and what have you.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Freeholders. So I have a mover and a second.
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Seabold. Second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado?
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent Freeholder Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo?
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution number 16.
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. Mr. President, if you allow me, 16 and 17 are related in that 16 is the funding mechanism for number 17. And 16 is a request from the, to approve funds from the Open Space Trust Fund in the amount of $589,159 for the construction of the dog park over at Branchbrook Park. The dog park is going to be located, I believe it's called East Drive. If you're turning into the park from Heller Parkway and you're heading towards Bloomfield Avenue, it would be along the right-hand side by the light rail. If you're familiar with the park, it's across from the police officer memorial. It'll be located over in that area. And regarding number 17, we do have the vendor here.
Thank you. Well, actually, we'll read 16 and 17 in the record at a later time, and we'll take both of them together.
Good evening, Freeholders. My name is Rich Paserno, co-owner of Paserno Giordano Contracting. We are located in Kenilworth, New Jersey, and presently we have 14 members out in the field doing the construction work, 7 of which are minority employees, and 3 who live in Essex County. In addition to that, we have been here quite a few times. We've built over 11 parks for Essex County to date, and we're happy to build the dog park, and that will start on April 27th, and the ADA playground on May 1st.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders? Freeholder Seabold.
Thank you. This item was discussed at the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Meeting on January 28th, and we were all very much in agreement that we were going to have another dog park.
Thank you.
And we knew that Len Luciano would be happy with it. Right, Len?
Extremely. Very good.
Can't get excited about this one. Need to raise the energy of the group right now.
I'll move it.
Additional, because I have questions before we have a mover and a second. Moved by Freeholder Seabold, second by Freeholder Luciano.
She beat me to it.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
You
Supposed
happy,
to be
Len?
Bobby's.
Freeholder Seabold?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder
Oh,
Palmares,
was it?
absent.
It was-
Freeholder
Sorry.
Mercado?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Bobby lost out on that.
Freeholder Cooper?
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
I'll let Freeholder Mercado and Luciano settle that in the parking lot after the meeting. About the second. In the park, that's right. Thank you. Moving to resolution number 18, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. D'Antonio.
Just do all the parks. That's my thing.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works, resolution number 18. Contract award to Piserno Giordano Construction to provide for the West Sessing Park ADA accessible playground. This is a 90-day contract, not to exceed $1.436 million. And once again, Rick Piserno's here, the contractor.
Thank you.
I'm sure I don't have to go over the whole pedigree again. However, I did want to make a couple of very important, statements about this particular playground. This ADA playground is very near and dear to my heart, my wife, and my family. We have a young man, my grandson, who was autistic, and we go around the states to build playgrounds and donate them back to different communities because we are so close to this environment. So my wife couldn't be here tonight because of the emotion behind this playground, so I'll try to hold it together. This is going to be the best playground that is going to be built in Essex County. This playground is for all children, and I just want to make it known that we start out building these playgrounds as a job because this is what we need to do, but I can tell you that this is going to be a sacred place where all kids can communicate, where they can play, where they can learn, and where they can achieve different levels. So I want you to, I would like you to put your faith in my company to make sure that this runs full circle, and I'll be on this project 24/7 with my crew. I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Freeholder Siebold.
Thank you. This was discussed a while ago at the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory meeting, and this is going to be the first fully accessible playground in Essex County. And I think it's a real milestone that we are doing this, and we're going to have a playground available such as this for all children. And I know that you will do a great work on it, and I'm really happy that we're going to have this right here in Essex County.
Thank you.
I'll move it.
Oh, you took it away from me.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson.
Second.
Second by Vice President
I
Richardson.
lost that one.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
I'm done now.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
This is going to be a great playground.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and just thank you for those comments and your prior work for the county, and we know that this will be an excellent project, and, I hope for the day when this is standard for, for all of our facilities, not only in our county, but across the state. So thank you for your work on that issue. Moving to resolution number 19.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works.
Read into the record at a later time. Thank you.
Department of Public Works, award of contract to KS Engineers, the lowest responsive bidder, to provide construction management and construction inspection services for various projects. In particular, the new Holo Records parking deck that's going to be built at the Triangle Lot. We do have Mr. James D. Adams of KS Engineers here today to introduce himself and company.
Good evening. My name is James D. Adams, as David said. I'm a vice president for KS Engineers. We're a multidisciplined, minority-owned engineering firm that's just spent its 28th year in the city of Newark. We employ approximately 275 professionals. 60% of our staff, or a little over 50% of our staff, are minorities. 18 of our staff members are residents of Essex County. I myself am a resident of West Orange. I'm a former director of engineering for the city of Newark. The services that we plan to provide for both projects are construction engineering, construction inspection, and closeout for both the parking garage project and the various roadway projects that we plan to do within the county of Essex.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions on this.
Freeholders. Vice President Richardson.
Good to see you. I hope you get a ton more work in Essex County. We put out a lot of contracts, but not very often we see minority contractors win those bids. I'm happy to see you, and I hope you get much, much more work from Essex County.
So do we. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Richardson. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Mover in a second?
I'll move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson,
Second.
second by Freeholder Cooper. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 20.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Item number 20, Department of Public Works contract to KS Engineers for inspection services for the 2019 roadway program. It's a 12-month contract, not to exceed $294,794. Once again, Mr. James C. Adams of KS Engineers is here. If you have any further questions.
I just have a further statement.
Okay,
No, go ahead. I defer to the freeholders.
okay. Vice President Richardson.
I hope, so these are not to exceed, I hope they exceed. I hope you use every penny, use every dime in the contract. I hope you have that opportunity to spend it all. That's my comment.
Thank you, Vice President Richardson. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No comment.
Questions or comments? Mover?
Move it, move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Cooper. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham. Absent. Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Moving to resolution number 21.
David Antonio, Department of Public
Read it to the
Works.
record at a later time.
Why
Thank you.
can't we do a number of them at the same time?
This is a contract award to
Yeah, hold on. We'll take the rest, okay.
CTM Bulk Handlers to provide sodium chloride brine. This is something we began doing this year in Public Works with snow operations. We've been applying brine onto our roadways. It's been quite a success. So moving forward, we're going to have a window contract for 2 years, not to exceed $40,000 to be able to acquire the brine and maintain it in our facilities.
Thank you. Why don't we take resolutions 22 through 27? We'll read them,
And 21.
yeah, and 21 together. We'll read them into the record at a later time, and why don't we work through them?
Resolution number 22 is a contract award to Sparwick Contracting, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for the rehabilitation of a Cherry Lane Bridge over the Royal River. We locally call it the Tulip Springs Bridge. There is a representative here from Sparwick, Brian Fagerston, to introduce himself and the company and the work that they'll be doing out there.
Please.
Good evening. My name is Brian Fagerston. I'm the president of Sparwick Contracting. We're a small, family-owned union contractor who works on bridges in North Jersey.
Okay. We'll move the resolution.
Resolution number 23.
23.
Contract award to Perello
So,
Inc.
Antonio, I'm just going to ask that if there's vendors here, that we're going to take them all together, so the vendors just stay until we vote. So if there's any additional questions, that's the end for the vendors.
Item number 23, to provide for mechanical and electrical maintenance services to the Kingsland Avenue Bridge over the Passaic River. This contract will extend the date of award through December 2020 includes monthly inspections, maintenance service, and monthly openings with emergency generators. We do have Carl Perello here. We had Mr. Carl Perello here, so I do apologize. All right.
Through you, Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. Antonio.
Yes.
Mr. Sparwick, did you say you were a small family-owned union contractor? Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, it's my brother and I own the company, and we're a union contractor.
You work with 472?
Yes, we do.
825?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
If Mr. Perello enters the room, I'll make sure he comes up here. Item number 24 is the contract award to a company called Elevator Maintenance Corp., EMC. They'll be providing elevator maintenance services for the newly acquired buildings at 320 and 321 University Avenue. Elevator Maintenance Corp. has been a county vendor and currently performs the same service at our other county-owned buildings. Vendor is not present today for unforeseen reasons. Item number 25 is a contract award to Klein Recycling for the purchase and removal of various types of scrap metal from Essex County facilities. This is a 24-month contract, and the county will pay 62.55% FMV, which is fair market value, per pound of the various types of scrap metal listed. Last year, the county received just shy of $5,000 from this vendor. Item number 26, resolution consenting to the City of Orange to install a new bus shelter at the existing bus stop on eastbound Central Avenue near South Essex Avenue. There's currently a mid-block bus stop. They're going to enhance the bus stop by installing a shelter. A shelter is a permanent structure which requires an ordinance. Because Central Avenue happens to be a county road, we also must pass a resolution consenting to that action. And this is why the item's before us tonight. And item number 27 is a contract with Civicos Enterprises to provide Sea Lion and Touch Pools life support system upgrades. This is a 120-day contract, not to exceed $1.389 million. And we do have Halalambo Civicos here to introduce himself and what his company does.
Good evening, Freeholders. It's a pleasure to be before you again. My name is Halalambo Civicos. I'm the CEO of Civicos Enterprises. The firm was established in 1989. We have a focus on specialty engineering and construction, especially aquatics and aquatic design and construction. We have been the low bidder on the project for the renovation of the life support systems of the Sea Lion exhibit at the Turtleback Zoo. We're very happy to be a part of the project. The scope is going to involve a complete renovation of all of the electrical and mechanical systems that control the treatment of the water that ensures the survival and the comfort of the sea lions at the exhibit. If you have any questions, it'd be my pleasure. I'm a graduate of the Rutgers School of Engineering, and we just completed a project at Wequake Park with the county, and it was again a pleasure to be working with the county once again.
Thank you. Freeholders, so we're on 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. I'm sorry, it's going to go to Ms. Pelavecchio.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Pelavecchio?
Just a general comment as to all of them. I think each and every one is either the sole responsive bidder or the lowest responsive and responsible bidder.
Thank you.
For all the projects.
Vice President Richardson.
Yeah, question. Do you, where's your company located?
We're in Neptune, New Jersey.
You're in Neptune. Do you, how many employees?
We have a standard crew of 4 individuals. In the project we just completed in Wequake, we brought on 1 individual from Essex County, so we increased our workforce by 25%. We tried to find additional workers from Essex County, but due to the specialized nature of the work, we weren't able to find more. However, we do intend to bring that individual back, and we are looking for additional workers as well based on the scope of this project.
So you say you weren't able to find them. Where are you looking?
We did ads on Craigslist. We had some websites. We also did some public notices. We posted some flyers in some public buildings in Essex County. If there's anything else you would recommend, we'd be happy
Yeah,
to.
just leave me your card.
Sure.
I may be able to help you.
Okay, it would be our pleasure. Thank you.
Freeholder Siebold?
Number 26, the bus shelter. Am I correct that New Jersey Transit is going to pay for all costs?
Usually that is the case. However, that arrangements between Orange and NJ Transit. Our action tonight is to consent to this and bless the action of placing and erecting the structure on Central Avenue.
Who's paying for it?
NJ Transit,
They are?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just on resolution number 27, these upgrades, I mean, how old is this exhibit?
I would like to call Kate Hartwick to assist in answering this question, please.
Good evening. Kate Hartwick, Deputy Director, Essex County Parks. The exhibit is just over 5 years old, and the systems that we're discussing upgrading are the life support systems that filter the water and fecal content and maintain the salinity. These upgrades are designed to increase the load of the cleanliness of the water so that both more animals can be brought into the exhibit, but also so that items can come offline for maintenance and still maintain the water while those lines are closed.
Okay. So is this the standard amount of time that it would require this amount of money for an upgrade? Let me step back. What was the original cost of the exhibit?
I don't want to give an incorrect figure, but I believe it was in the 5 to 6 million range, but I will get that figure back to the board.
Okay. And spending another 1.3 is consistent with
The
the
life
maintenance of
support.
these facilities.
The life support system is a very specialized system. It's not a general plumbing what would be the word, system. So it is expensive. Everything that is used in the Sea Lion exhibit is custom ordered and custom designed and built to order. They're not on-the-shelf parts that you can just go out and purchase.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Freeholders? Additional questions or comments? Do I have a mover to take 22 through?
21.
Oh, excuse me. I think we voted on
Motion?
21? Okay, 21 through 27?
Move it.
Moved by,
What?
second?
Somebody's down there, I heard.
Freeholder Cooper had
Yeah.
the first motion.
There you go.
Second by Freeholder Mercado?
There you go.
Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebold.
Wait a second.
Yes. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Moving to resolutions 28 and 29, Department of Citizen Services. We can read them into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. DeVore is going to come forward to address this item.
Drill was up there.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline DeVore, the Director for the Essex County Division of Senior Services. And number 28 speaks to our request to approve the funding matrix for fiscal year 2019. If you look at the supporting documents will show our matrix, and it has all of our contracts on them. Most of our providers, with the exception of one, which is Nutley, have been with us for the past 20 years. And these are services that are provided through federal and state funding to provide services throughout Essex County. Questions?
Yes, Freeholder Johnson.
Mr. Vore, I'd like to compliment you for the job that you do, that is so well. In my years of being here, which is 11 years, you have done a remarkable job with our seniors, and I don't know of too many seniors that don't love you.
No, I rather good.
So
Thank you
keep
so
up the
much.
good work.
I
And
appreciate
It's always a
that.
pleasure when you come before us. If we had 20 million, we'd give you 20.
Thank you, thank
You
you.
don't stress out where they are marked.
Thank you, Freeholder Johnson. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders?
Move it.
Moved by Freeholder Johnson.
Second.
Second by Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk. Ordinances 28 and 29.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares. Absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano. Oh, absent Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
I know the hour is late, but I want to put one more thing in your minds. We talked tonight about an all-access park so that children from every spectrum could visit. But I want you to keep in mind that I should be coming back to you next year looking for a park for seniors, that only
Great
seniors
idea.
can attend. And I think it will help them with cognizant skills and motor skills and things of that nature. So keep it in mind, because that's in my mind for next year.
Mr. Vore, before you go, what constitutes a senior?
60
AARP card?
No, 60 years of age.
We look forward to it.
Sounds good.
Seeing you on the equipment. You better start training now, Mr. Vice President. Moving to resolution number 30. We can take 30,
Cousin.
31, and 32 and read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, number 30 is for janitorial services at the new Essex County Patrol Headquarters, and the other services is for at the OEM building in West Orange, not to exceed $59,400, and it's with Hudson Community, a sheltered workshop. Number 31 is for $63,636. It's for Winchester brand ammunition for the Essex County Sheriff's Office, and it's under the state contract. And number 32 is for the Department of Corrections to supply a company to provide Glock brand guns and parts, and that is not to exceed $10,739.
President, get through 33 as well.
Yep, please, thank you, Mr. Jackson. We'll read it into the record at a later time.
This is Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Purchasing for janitorial supplies for a 24-month agreement not to exceed $1.5 million. 3 contracts were given out to various vendors. TSP Maintenance Livingston, Imperial Bag and Paper Jersey City, and W. Mason Secaucus. And these vendors are here to explain.
Thank you.
Hello, freeholders. It's Chris Peacock from TSP Maintenance Supply. We're a Essex County-based business with 3 employees, all Essex County residents. And we're very happy and proud to do business with the Essex County and look forward to the next 2 years.
Good evening, freeholders. Phil Natal with WB Mason. Company's been around since 1898. We look forward to working with you. We've done a lot of work for you guys in office supplies, now janitorial, and again, look forward to it. We have 35% of our employees from Essex County.
Good evening, freeholders. David Bedford with Imperial Bag and Paper. We're based out of Jersey City, New Jersey, Hudson County. I would say in our office staff, there's about 28%, they informed me today, of Essex County residents that work for our company. We've been around since 1935. We service all county facilities with all your cleaning supplies and paper goods.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders, 30 through 30,
Freeholder Richardson has a question.
33, excuse me, thank you. Vice President Richardson.
Glad to see you guys, even the ones who are not from Essex County. At least you do employ Essex County residents, which is very important to us. So keep up the good work, and if you have some openings, please reach out to other Essex County residents who may need employment. Thank you.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Did I call you as well? Did I call you? You did? Okay, thank you. Do I have a mover and a second?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk. This is 30, 31, 32, and 33.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolutions 34 and 35, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Director Burnett is here to answer the question.
Good evening, Freeholders. I'm
Good evening.
Keisha P. Burnett, Acting Division Head for Family Assistance and Benefits. I'm also Essex County's moorkeeper. And so our request is for funds to bury the indigent burials for those that don't want unclean bodies. And I have Mr. Brown from Chapels of Eden and Ms. Hill from Garden Hill should be here, but I'm asking you to sincerely consider this because, as you know, this is very passionate to me.
Good evening, Freeholders. I'm Robert Brown with Chapels of Eden Funeral Home. We've held this position for a few terms, and we are happy and proud to serve the residents of Essex County. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take resolution 35. Oh, I'm sorry, it's separate. You know what?
Director Saunders is here to address.
You know, we can do, they're not together, we can do it. It's all right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Gina Saunders, Juvenile Detention. Resolution 35. It's a contract awarded to Gourmet Dining's Correctional Service to provide food service at the Essex County Juvenile Detention Facility from March 1st, 2019 through February 28th, 2022, amount not to exceed $1,444,531.70.
The vendor is here.
Oh, we got Joe.
Michael Frangillo, GD Correctional Services. I'm here to answer any questions you may have on this contract.
Okay, so Freeholders, we have taken 34 and 35 right now. They'll be read into the record at a later time. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions on 34. 35 is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder on this contract by a fairly large margin.
Okay.
And it's a 3-year contract.
Okay.
Question, is GD the current provider of services at juvenile detention?
Yes, we have been for, I think, if you go back maybe 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Freeholder Johnson?
Are you the same company that has the jail and the detainees on ICE?
Yes, sir.
You won't be running into none of those problems that we've been running in with the ICE program with that, will we?
No, sir, those problems have been corrected.
Okay, all right.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments?
Through you, Mr. President.
Yep, Freeholder Mercado.
What's the cost per meal for each resident?
It's $1.99, $1.95 for this contract. This is a little different than the correctional facility. This is for food only, basically just taking our economy of scale of how we purchase food and we manage the inventory, and the county dietitian gives us the menu and we supply the food and production for that menu, the amount of food for that.
Thank you.
Freeholder, additional questions? Freeholder Johnson?
For $1.89, you said?
$1.95 for the food.
$1.95?
Correct.
What kind of meal can that produce, $1.95?
It's a 3,000 calorie meal. I believe it follows a school lunch program because these are correct, right? Yeah. And the county dietitians come up with the menu. They give us the menu, and then we supply the product for that with specification following with the RFP.
Could you give me an example of what kind of meal, for instance, a dinner?
A dinner
What
meal,
would
for
be-
example. Do you have a menu?
For dinner meal, you'll get, just say they're having chicken patties, potatoes, corn, they have a milk, juice, and a dessert.
Does it come packaged,
No,
or
no,
is
no,
it
no.
cooked on?
We cook it on the premises.
Vice President
Just a
Lee.
follow-up question to Freeholder John. So you say a chicken patty, what is that? Is that a chicken breast patty? Or are you talking about a bunch of different parts of chicken put together and made into a patty?
Chicken patty, and they get two, they get potatoes, and they get a vegetable.
But you didn't answer my question.
Excuse me, sorry, what
So the question is it a chicken breast patty, or is it a bunch of chicken parts put together and made into a
It's a
patty?
chicken breast. We don't use mechanically separated chicken. It's a chicken breast.
Okay. That was my question.
Yeah, because that's, in the correctional industry, that is a practice, but we don't use that.
Freeholder Cooper.
Thank you. The $1.99, is that per meal or per day?
Per meal.
So they get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it's $6 per day, per inmate.
Yeah, I think it's 200, how many meals is the total? It's like 200,000 meals or something. There's about 70 detainees right now. 79.
It's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they get an afternoon snack.
You need to
Just
talk
come to the microphone.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they get a mid-snack after school, and then they get a snack at 7 o'clock.
So 3 meals, 2 snacks.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a point of clarity, Mr. President, is this memo supporting from the administration correct, that GD Correctional's bid was $1.4 million, and the other 2 groups were $3 million? That's a huge spread between the winning bid and, so $1.99 per meal and snacks. How much are snacks?
It's included in that group price.
So it's included in that price? Thank you.
I think if you look at the other vendors, they're not, we're in the food services industry. I believe they're not on the scale as ours, so we have a much larger economy of scale on our purchases. I actually didn't recognize the names. Those are not normal that I would see in our type of bidding processes. You'd see like an Aramark or a Trinity, those types, but this is, that's not what these were. I think they were quoting, to be honest with you, I don't want to make assumptions. I think they were quoting the retail price of what they would charge as opposed to the price of the food product that needs to be supplied for that menu.
Additional questions, Freeholders? Questions or comments? Freeholder Johnson.
How many other institutions do you have throughout the state of Jersey?
In New Jersey, we have 12.
Could you name some of them?
Sure. Hudson County, Monmouth County, Middlesex County, Camden County, Cumberland County, Burlington County.
That's why you're able to give that kind of a price.
Correct.
Because if you get $5 and $6 million from here, from each place, you can afford to do that
Yeah.
because you're buying in such a bulk.
Yeah, we have an economy of scale that, other may not have.
They got a game named after you, called Monopoly.
Used to be a competitor of ours from Philly, at least now it's Jersey guys.
Through you, Mr. President.
Freeholder Mercado.
Well, as you're aware, we have serious concerns about the food at the correctional facility, and you're the same provider at the detention center. What's different?
The difference of operations is we're not preparing the food on site there where we are with detainees at the correctional facility. We're simply, like I said, the main process is we order the food, we supply it, we make sure they have enough to make the food. The production and food controls are done on site by the staff.
So the foods are prepared, the menu is done by the dietitian, and then food prepared by the staff?
Essex County staff, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions or comments, Freeholders? We have a mover and a second. We have resolutions 34 and 35. Moved by Freeholder Graham.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Cooper. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Yes on, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on, Madam Clerk. Yes on 34, and present not voting on 35.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, taking resolutions 36, commendations through 62. I have a mover and a second. Moved by Freeholder Siebel, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call.
I'd like to say something.
Sure, read it into the record at a later time. Freeholder,
May I say something?
Freeholder Siebel.
Thank you. Vice President Richardson had a celebration of the power of women in the labor movement, and he celebrated many outstanding women. And I would just like everyone to make sure they realize that for number 39, he honored Debbie Marvel during the program. And since Debbie works right here, we should all acknowledge how wonderful she is, and it was terrific that the Vice President honored
Hold
her.
on.
Thank you.
Where's Debbie? She's still here?
I don't know that she's here,
Oh, we'll give her a round of
Half a day.
but she certainly
Her
was
reward was to
deserving,
work
and I think
19
that was
hours.
wonderful that you honored her.
To violate all labor
Exactly.
contracts.
Thank you, Freeholder Siebel, for that, and I'm very happy that most of you were able to attend those meetings, and I understand, but she earned it. She's the president of her local,
Right.
and folks need to understand, you know, the power that women have, and they need to be recognized. So, you know, it's something that I
certainly
do
do.
every year and will continue to do. So thank you.
Well done. Agree on all. Do you have a mover and a second? We have a mover and a second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
I moved it.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson. Absent. Okay. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Moving to Resolution 65,
I
which,
think we passed them all.
I don't see the backup. That's documentation on 65.
That's what you signed. I can speak to that.
Okay. Mr. Pralavecchio, Resolution number 65.
65 is governing body certification, Mr. President, certifying that Essex County's hiring practices comply with federal law and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. This is required to be submitted to local government services prior to submitting the approved budget that we just did tonight. And that's what you got assigned earlier this evening.
Okay. Questions or comments? Mr. Pralavecchio? Do I have a mover and a second?
Move it.
Moved by Vice President Richardson, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares, absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Johnson, absent. Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Reports of board committees.
Through you, Mr.
Freeholder
President.
Mercado.
Yes, let me say, last week, the subcommittee, the ICE subcommittee, held its meeting. I want to publicly thank my colleague, Freeholder Rufus Johnson and Freeholder Carlos Palmeras, as well as my other colleagues who were present during the meeting. We're going to be reconvening next week and hope to have the findings and recommendations to the penal committee by April 17th.
Thank you, Freeholder Mercado. Any other reports of board committees?
I would just,
Freeholder Sebo.
I would just like to say that Freeholder Mercado did a wonderful job with a packed audience. It was standing room only, and I think he was really terrific at conducting that meeting. Yes. Very, very difficult meeting.
Yes. Well done. Agreed. Additional report of board committees.
I didn't know it was going to be that late. I ate my dinner at
Legislative
20 of
reports.
12
Written communication.
until I got home.
Unfinished business. New business. Public
Motion to
comment.
adjourn.
Okay. Freeholder comment.
I just
Freeholder
wanna
Graham.
Congratulate the women that were honored today.
Speaking to the mic, we can't hear you.
There's no one there to hear.
See, her mic isn't even on.
Okay, so I just want to say congratulations to the women who were honored today for
Right.
Women's History Month.
Is her mic
It was a
on?
very nice program, and I was glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
Good, you're right.
Agreed, thank you. Additional freeholder comments?
To you, Mr. President.
Vice President Richardson.
Your microphone's been off the whole meeting.
We have to go back and do everything over. Start over.
I move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Minus the public comment.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay.